Hello. Hello, minions. Hi. Hi. Yes, time for several glasses of wine to be smashed. That's correct. I'm very excited to jump into the trial for this case. Oh, actually, excuse me for just 1 second. Sorry, I dropped something, so I shrunk down to find it, which might not be the most efficient way to do that, but I thought I would show off some of my powers. That is exactly what happened. Don't worry about it. Sometimes you have to be small. Ah! Yes, that is the sound of me thinking. Which I will do a lot of, because we're solving mysteries. It makes perfect sense. After all, I'm a new type. I have the ability to understand people on a deep and innate level, so of course I can tell when they are lying to me. Just makes sense, right? That's how it works. Yeah, I'm excited to get more into this case. I was actually surprised. They split the trials into days like the first 3 games do, because they didn't do that in the first Great Ace Attorney game. It's a little bit of a twist. I guess they're like, oh, it's the second game now. We can make trials longer and more complex, because the first case was more complex than the first case in the first game. So I thought that was fun. And this game, the second case here is definitely more complex than the second one in the first game as well. I wouldn't say it's been super difficult so far. I managed to figure out pretty much everything on the first try. But it has been more complex. I mean, I guess the mystery of a lady who accidentally dropped a knife out of a window and accidentally stabbed another lady was kind of complex because of the route we had to take to figure that part out. But like, there's a lot more going on in this one, like escaped convicts or convicts that were put to death. The sham spear guy wants that treasure that may or may not be hidden in Natsume's room. There's a lot going on. The motivations are very, very complex, I suppose. I guess that's what I'm getting at. There's so much going on. All the time. I guess I better jump into it. Yeah, the memory of soap eating? Well, we solved that one. He didn't actually eat the soap. He accidentally broke it in half because he was making frozen ice coins that he could put in the box that gives. Okay, so there's, if you missed last time, we established that one, turn of the century London is a horrible place because to get gas pumped into your apartment room, right, for heat and light, you had to pay for it by the coin. So you put a coin in the box, and it pumps in heat for like a couple hours, they said. So what the genius sham spear figured out was that, like, he made an imprint in soft soap with the coin, so that the imprint would be the exact size and shape of the coin, and then he put water in there, left it out overnight in the winter to freeze, so he would have a fake ice coin. He would then put it in the box, which would give him heat. And then when the heat rose, the coin would melt and the water would pour out of a little hole he poked in the box so that the guy who came to collect the coins wouldn't be none the wiser. That's why they were like, we don't know how he's getting so much heat into his apartment without paying. Yeah, it's kind of like putting the arcade coin on a string, except the coin is made of ice and it just melts. There is no string. But anyways, we did that. And then we found out that he was making ice coins with the tea Natsume had served him, meaning he didn't drink the tea. So he couldn't have been poisoned by the tea Natsume made. So they were like, we'll test the tea that is left, because they were like, there was no tea left, so we couldn't test it. So the poison was just conjecture. But then they were like, well, there is tea left. It was frozen in the soap. So we'll test that. Come back tomorrow. And we had gathered some more evidence in the meantime and found out about that convict that Shamspear may or may not have known, who was put to death, but who may or may not have left his haul that he stole in the room Natsume was staying in, because Shamspear really wanted to stay in that room, but it was already occupied. So that's that. That is a summary of yesterday's events. Now it is today, the 23rd of February, in 9:23 a.m. We're in the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber. Oh, God. No. Go away. Back up a little. Back up. Too close. You're a little close. Thank you. It's like, imagine if I did this. Would you like this? If I was this close to you, would you like this, minions? Would you like it if my face was this close to yours? Would that be good for you? Yes. Oh. I guess it's cuz I'm a different type of person. You would like it if I was this close. If I was as close as Natsume, if my face was this close to your face, would you like that? You want me to get up in there? Is that what you like? Well, too bad. I'm leaving now. No, just kidding. I'm still here. Just gotta zoom out. Okay. Anyways, what were you doing now to me? You are all very excited by that. This is it then, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, it's time to put an end to this now. I feel like this will be the last trial day. I don't think this trial can last more than 2 days. I don't think we have enough material for that. To the miserable curse that has been plaguing Mr. Natsume, to everything. And in my own small way, I shall do everything I can to help you. I always appreciate your help, Mr. Zato. Suffering Soseki selfishly sidelined. Ah. Good morning to you too, Mr. Natsume. Good morning, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Listen to you two chattering happily away as if the man player of today's trial isn't here. Why would you do that? Why? Oh dear, we didn't mean to cause offense, Mr. Natsume. I thought perhaps that because you had your eyes shut so tightly, you were meditating, finding inner calm. It seemed wrong to disturb you. I was waiting! What's the matter, Mr. Natsume? You seem different somehow today. Why, naturally, that's because I've attained spiritual enlightenment. The path of literature, you see, is a journey to discover one's own death. Or such like. That's the sort of morning conversation I was hoping for. That's why I had my eyes shut. He's very... We weren't paying enough attention to him, and now he's mad at us. I guess he is somewhat cat-like in that regard. He is a cat, as he once famously wrote. I looked up that book today. You know, it's a satirical book, I Am a Cat, written by Natsume. Because, you know, he's a real-life author of 1900s Japan. He wrote a book named I Am a Cat, which is about... It's a satirical take about how Western culture is influencing modern, or then modern Japan. Seems interesting. I should read it sometime. But the main character is an anthropomorphic cat, so I guess that's just Natsume's persona. I missed the signs, I'm afraid. Somehow, you'll have to forgive me. And you mustn't talk of your path leading you to death, Mr. Natsume. Well, that was just an example. Oh, yes, there it is. Inner calm. You barely came to see me at all yesterday. I was sure you'd abandoned me and returned to our beautiful long-lost homeland. We've not even been in Great Britain a week yet. God, I keep forgetting this is a flashback. Yes, well, anyway, I intend to set everything straight in court today. I'm determined to uncover the truth. And the first Soseki case in the first game was like immediately after he got into Britain. Ryunosuke, that is. And this one takes place 2 days after that trial, so he's barely been here a week. I've actually reached an important decision myself. Oh, what sort of decision? I shall fill you in after the trial. All right. It would seem Mr. Sholmes isn't coming today after all. Yeah, oh no, who could have seen it coming? It's a very clever message, I think. My dear fellows, you must win this battle on your own merits. Yeah, I also read that the real Soseki Natsume wrote about visiting Japan because he visited Japan IRL under the same circumstances to study English literature as sort of an exchange student almost. And he wrote something. What was the exact quote? Let me pull this up again. Here's the quote. The 2 years I spent in London were the most unpleasant years of my life. Among English gentlemen, I lived in misery, like a poor dog that had strayed among a pack of wolves. That's what the real Natsume wrote. So he was not having a good time IRL either, which makes sense. IRL London was also terrible. The great detective, my arch nemesis. Long may he stay away, if you ask me. Defendant and your legal representative, the trial is about to begin. Make your way into the courtroom immediately. Yeah, I mean, real life Britain is just as terrible as this fake one here, this fictionalized London. Today, once again, we face the Reaper. And when the Reaper stands for the prosecution, the defendant's fate is sealed. But I don't believe in that legend any more than I believe in Soseki-san's curse. The truth is hidden here somewhere, and I won't let it escape me. I have to keep believing in my client and keep fighting to the very end. That's all. Yeah, I read on his Wikipedia page that Natsume was like his friends in London genuinely thought he was going insane from living there. The 23rd of February, 9:40 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. Yes, the defense is ready. Very good. And now I call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury, chosen by lot to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to proceed? Absolutely. Justice will be done, you mark my words. I feel obliged to say I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat is sitting just right. Oh, well, I wonder if you could adjust my hat for me, and please be as ruthless as you like. Is that like the ye old British way of telling a lady to step on you? Thieves deserve to die, if you ask me, especially gas thieves. I've no sympathy for the man at all. Look, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again now. I don't have time for this. I've got my own problems. Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here and lead his flock to a righteous verdict again today. Now, Lord Von Zeeks, what can you tell us? The prosecution's report, please, for the court. In relation to the theory expounded by the defense yesterday regarding the defendant's tea. So he does have the results. Before the prosecution delivers the black news about the black tea belonging to the black god in the dock. It's a lot of wordplay. Pray, allow me a moment to savor a liquid of a more sanguine hue. In fact, I'll defer to the good detective for the report. Here's to you, Inspector. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As indicated by the defense, we found a bar of soap just outside the victim's window in the snow. And there was indeed a frozen, reddish liquid in a little depression on the top of it. Yes, that's the tea. That's what Mr. Natsume brought with him that night. Well, the brains at the yard analyzed it, and yes, you're right, it was tea. And there wasn't a trace of strychnine or any other toxic substance in it. No poison at all? In other words, the tea that the defendant brought with him to the victim's room is innocent. It's in the clear. What a revelation! We did it, gang, we won. That means the trial's over, right? As I suspected. This makes it quite clear. The defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is blameless here. My learned friend is jumping to conclusions again. A typical Nipponese reaction. Very cool, Vanzies. We're starting off strong today. What? Yes, it's true. No poison was found in the few drops of liquid recovered from the soap on the window ledge. But what logic is that? Would you take a drop from the Thames and conclude that the water in the ocean isn't salty? My word, the water in the ocean is extremely salty, Counsel. Exactly. Unfit for drinking, just as the victim's tea was on the night in question, as the court has already heard. Bitter was the precise word from the lips of Mr. William Shamspeare, whom the prosecution now calls back to the stand. Oh, what's happened now? I mean, yes. I'm pretty sure the Thames is unfit for drinking, like, no matter what. Right? Doesn't even, like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't just become not ocean water, it's an ocean channel, isn't it? Like, it's a big river that cuts right through London, England. Like, London too, but also the country. And also, it must be super polluted, I bet. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's request. Mr. Shamspeare. Yes, it sounds like we're going to have another confrontation with our theatrical friends. Bailiff, show Mr. Shamspeare to the stand. Alright, what now? What has this guy got to say now? What is this wacko's... What's going on with this guy? Mr. William Shamspeare, the victim of this despicable crime. Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember? Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamspeare, did have a bellyful of the foul fluid given in mine innocence. This guy makes some fucking faces. Yes, but as was revealed in yesterday's proceedings, the witness is not as innocent as we had perhaps first been led to believe. By using bars of soap such as this, he has been stealing gas from the supply company, yes. One may smile and be a villain. Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamspeare, did have a roomful of the sweet fuel given. That's right, fellow jurors, don't forget, this man is a rotten thief. I haven't forgotten. I kept all that about the ice coins a tidy secret, didn't you? Should have owned up sooner. Arrest him, I say. Arrest him at once, and let him feel the sting in my tail. Oh, okay, we're just... The bee thing isn't even, like, a funny thing anymore. She's just like, I'm a bee. Oh, indeed, by dint of vile and cowardly means have I plotted to further mine own ends, I confess. Thou wouldst not pardon my sins, of that I am sure. If you acknowledge your wrongdoing, what exactly are you doing here? Cowards die many times before their deaths. And for a coward such as I, death be well deserved. But would it that still a greater crime passeth unpunished? For lo, the hairy-faced gentleman of farther east in Verona did contrive to poison me. I hate this man's animations. I hate it. I want him to die. Hopefully he will. I wish the poison had worked. Look at him fucking go.
Objection.
But there was no poison in the tea found in your room. The police have attested to that. What the defense would assert as an inconsistency will be quickly cleared up by the witness's testimony. Is that not so, Mr. Shamspeare? Verily, my liege, I would most gladly speak. This dude Schmoovin is out of this world. Very well. Let the witness testify to explain this inconsistency. Tell the court why it is that poison apparently entered your body that none was found in the tea. I hate this face. This face specifically, it's literally just a troll face. It had to be on purpose. The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea brewed in a pot. 'Twas in my cup alone that the wicked miscreant solely poured his wicked poison. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, ne'er did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. When he departed by and by, I did use the tea that remained in his cup to make my coins of ice. Thus 'tis no surprise that poison be not found in the tea I did pour into the molds of soap. Okay, here's an interesting fact. Written fun facts from Caskin 820. Apparently in the 1950s, the Thames was literally declared biologically dead after having caused multiple cholera outbreaks and an event literally called the Great Stink. Apparently it's now one of the cleanest rivers in a major city worldwide, though. Huh. I'm glad they cleaned it up. That's bad that it was so horrible for so long. Like, literally incapable of sustaining life. That's no good. Oh, those British. I know some American rivers are pretty poisoned though. That are in cities like New York. What is it? The bays in New York are pretty bad, but I don't think they're that bad. Like, I don't think they're literally quote unquote biologically dead bad. Magane mode, if you insist. You paid for it. There you go. You like it? The poison was slipped into the cup after the tea had been poured. The normal way for poison to be administered, in my experience. Quite. Otherwise, it would be disastrous if the poisoner were to mix up the cups, for instance. Yeah, it's like that bit from Princess Bride. But no poison bottle was found at the scene. Because, quite simply, the Nipponese took the bottle back to his own room. Have we searched his room? I don't think they've searched his room. But I guess even if they did say we searched his room, they would just say, well, he disposed of it somehow, you know. Yeah, the Rio Grande is pretty dirty, but it's not that bad. Yeah, I don't think there's any rivers in America that have been called biologically dead. The absence of a vessel containing the poison only becomes problematic when considering suicide. Ugh, I knew that. By now, it should be perfectly clear. A bar or two of cheap soap is wholly insufficient to wash the deep stains of guilt from the accused's hands. Sirs, madams, 'tis true that I, Shamspeare, be a common thief of gas. But, listen here, ladies and gentlemen. He gets so angry and he drops his iambic pentameter. Wherefore would I lie? Verily, I have no cause. I have no naught to lose. Well, I do declare. Thank you for your testimony, witness. Counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. He always looks surprised, like he doesn't know that's what happens next. So he's saying Natsume only poured the poison in the cup he drank, and not his own cup.
Hold it!
I understand that you are already acquainted with Mr. Natsume, is that correct? I know thee not, old man, fall to thy prayers. Do I know thee, or know thee not? Methinks 'tis all I can know that thy destiny mingles with mine. Ye had lost me at the first thee. Zounds, sir, thou must learn the English tongue afore thou turns thy hand to lawyering. I did, but I must have missed the archaic Elizabethan lecture. I guess that is Elizabethan, because that's the queen when Shakespeare wrote, right? Elizabeth? Verily, and in truth, 'twas a fine-flavored brew, though a drop of poison did barb its sweetness, as the thorn doth barb the sweet rose. That, dear friends, be the simple truth. Listen to Mr. Shamspear. He seems in even better form than he was yesterday. Either that, or I'm in worse form. That fated evening, after I did dine, at Grubb's Grubbery, a local alehouse of good report, naught did pass my lips but the tainted black tea. But behold, the poison was not in the tea at first. I hate this weird jumping thing he does. I want to kill him. I want him dead.
Hold it!
Are you saying that you saw the moment when the poison was added to your tea? To have witnessed the act and then drank the tea? Thou dost describe the actions of a fool. Quite so, quite so. But no one likes going thirsty, do they? Sooner would I die quenched than parched, would I have the choice. Actually, on the night in question, the water main was frozen, I believe, wasn't it? Were it not for the tea, in sooth, I would sooner have died frozen than quenched or parched. Right, no ice coins means no heating. The witness had more than one brush with death on the night in question, it would seem. Remind the court, Mr. Shamsmere, as to whether the accused drank any of the tea in which he brought with him. With the greatest of pleasure, my liege. Let me look at my stuff. I feel like the teacups might have something to do with this. Which one's Natsume's? Yeah, Natsume was the green one. I feel like that might be the key evidence here, right? If the tea had been sitting for a long time, as it must have been if Natsume hadn't drank any, there would be a mark like in Mr. Shamspear's. When he does the jumping, galloping thing, he should have the Monty Python effects, like the coconuts. Yeah, that would be great. They should do that. I should edit that later. It's all a bit silly, isn't it? I feel like the cups might be the key here. Let's try it.
Objection.
Yeah, I'm smart. You claim that Mr. Natsume didn't drink a drop of tea on the night in question. What does that sound like? Oh, if you haven't seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, it's a comedy movie. So they don't ride horses. They have guys who like gallop, pretending to be horses while banging coconuts together. So it sounds like horses galloping, right? The hooves. So it sounds like they're hooves when you bang the coconut shells together. That's the bit. That's the joke. They're pretending to be horses instead of actually riding horses. It's something that's actually funny when you watch it. It doesn't sound funny at all if I just explain it to you. But if you, because you got to realize this is a whole like comedy parody of like Arthurian myth. So it's like 2 hours of them adventuring to places, pretending to be horses while banging coconut shells together. So it's funny if you actually watch it. Not so much when it's just a person telling you, "Hey, it's funny when they when they pretend to be horses and bang coconut shells together." I promise. You can just look up a clip on YouTube or something. But that's impossible. How, Chop Logic? What is this, ye darky-clad fiend? The 2 teacups from the scene, one used by the victim and the other by the defendant, have a clear difference between them. One that represents an incontrovertible proof. Incontrovertible? What difference? Look at the inside of the cups. Just here, there's clearly a visible ring. Yes, a tea ring. Commonplace enough. Indeed, such stains occur all too readily when one leaves the tea in the cup for a while. And yet, Mr. Natsume's cup has no such ring. Good lord, you're right. It's completely clean. And prithee, sir, what makest thou of it? This face is also terrible. I really want to punch it. Oh, I also think Monty Python is good. Like, it's funny if you actually watch it. It's just not funny if I explain it to you. It's a lot of visual humor. Exactly what Mr. Natsume told the court yesterday. The Japanese saying he quoted. Drink tea while it's hot. That's right. Yes. The jittery Mr. Natsume was true to his usual self that night and drank his tea in no time. If, as you claim in your testimony, he didn't touch a drop of his tea, a ring would have developed on the inside of his cup as well after the several hours the tea was left standing. But, in short, Mr. Shamspeare, you clearly lied to the court. Get thee to a nunnery! That's a Hamlet quote, I believe. Now here's what Van Zieks is gonna say. Obviously, the teacups were just switched. You don't know which really belongs to which man. Or he's saying, yes, it could have been filled up more than once. He drank the teacup once, left the rest to sit. There's so many possibilities here, you foolish man. It's just conjecture. As a rule, I filled my hollowed chalice up to 7 times during any one trial. You might want to keep that information to yourself. Yeah, this is the joke, this is the actual trick with Von Zieks. He's just drunk the whole time. He's drunk off his ass on wine. Yet on occasion, tedium distracts me, and I pour more times than I intended until the bottle is dry. Your drinking habits are fascinating, but irrelevant. On the contrary, they illustrate the fickleness of human memory. To William Shamspeare. Yes, my liege. Though you previously stated that you made the coins of ice from the leftover tea in the accused's cup, could it be that you were perhaps mistaken? He's literally leading the witness. Come on. Eh? Could it be that, yes, perhaps there was some tea remaining in the small teapot left at the scene? A fact that had vanished from your memory until now? This could not be leading the witness any harder. Come on. You're all seriously gonna fall for this? Faith, my liege, thou art a magician. For verily it is as though thou hast seen with thine own eyes that night. What? Forsooth, I was mistook. I did plan to use tea from the Japanese fellow's cup, but lo, when I looked, 'twas empty. And thus did I use the dregs that festered in the teapot, as my liege did suggest.
Objection!
And you've just suddenly remembered now that you have made a mistake before? Are we supposed to believe that?
Objection!
People's memories are imperfect, my learned friend, which is why we rely on evidence instead. But in any case, it makes no difference. The victim's most recent testimony tells us two things of note. Firstly, that the poison was put in the victim's teacup only. And secondly, that this spoiled cup was not the source of the insipid ice coins that had bewitched this court. The prosecution makes a fine summary of the facts. Furthermore, that testimony remains valid and in full support of the established facts. In other words... Oh, he's doing... Yeah, there goes the cape. I'm serious now. The inconsistency claimed by the defense simply does not exist. No. What does this mean, then? I do declare it means there's no issue with the gas thief's testimony. Apart from the bit about thieving gas, obviously. My lords, ladies, and gentlemen of the jury, I do solemnly swear, after I dined at Grubb's Grubbery Ale House that night, naught did pass my lips but the black tea given me by the Japanese, whose back be stupid as low as death. Yeah, he's dropping his weighted clothing. It's like when Piccolo takes off his cape, right? And on what did you dine, sir? Why, I did partake of my favorites. A broth as would be called a soup, and a leaf as would be called a salad. As insalubrious a menu as the established where it was served. But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. Willingly would I suffer what punishment 'tis seen fit to serve a wicked thief of gas, but I pray ye wise and noble fellows ne'er forget this simple truth. That be one thing, and this be another. Jurors all, your humble servant Shamspeare doth entreat you, punish the Japanese fellow for his sins. My lord! If I may speak, my lord. Yes, Mr. Foreman. I believe we may have been duped by that rotten defense lawyer. By me? I do declare you may be right. We all know the waif there was making coins of ice to keep himself warm. But this lawyer, lad, says if he's stealing gas, he deserves a dose of poison, eh? He's been leading us up the garden path, that's what he's been doing. I really never said anything like that. But what we just heard from the victim there has opened our eyes again. We've reached a decision this time, and we won't be swayed from it. We'll see about that. I can sway anyone from a decision. It's very easy. The court acknowledges the position of the jury foreman, and will duly hear the jury's findings. What? No. You can't yet. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your decisions now.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! Guilty!
Oh no. Oh no, whatever will I do about this? They've never even come up with a motivation for why Natsume would poison this guy. I hereby declare the jury to be in one accord. Oh, happy day. Don't wiggle like that, please. Even Van Zeeks is like, alright, he's going to do the thing now. How is this happening? My lord, the defense asserts its right to carry out a summation examination. Very well. The court upholds the defense's right. Typical. My learned friend is unable to accept the obvious truth. This trial will therefore enter its second summation examination immediately. Jurors, the court calls upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime of which he is charged. We will do it again. The summation examinations will continue until morale improves. I'm a man of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty. I do agree that gas is far too expensive. I can quite understand why the man would want to avoid paying. The stuff explodes and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gas is. Gas doesn't come for free. It costs a fortune to deliver it around the city and maintain the pipes. Truth be told, the tea my wife serves up for me is a little sketchy at times. If nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? I like how Grandpa's the only one who, like, said anything worthwhile. I do feel that perhaps personal opinion about gas and its supply has influenced decisions somewhat. But never mind. No, you really should mind. The truth is, our counter-argument wasn't as unassailable as we'd hoped. And Mr. Shamspeare was poisoned. There can be no doubt of that. Then how are we supposed to turn this around? I think we need to establish the method by which Mr. Shamspeare was actually poisoned. Our only hope is to demonstrate that to the court incontrovertibly. But that's surely almost impossible at this stage. If we don't manage it, though, Mr. Natsume will be found guilty. Oh, Kaskin has another British fact for us. A British court fact. The Queen cannot be taken to court due to the fact that British criminal court cases are considered versus Regina/Rex, which means Queen/King. Apparently the Crown, however, can. So wait, let me get this right. Let me get this straight. You can't take the Queen or King as individuals to court, but you can take the Crown as an institution to court? Is that what that means? That's pretty interesting. Like, you can, like, the royalty as an institution. That's interesting. But not like an individual king or queen. You would sue the crown, like... what's the funniest example of this thing? Like if Queen Elizabeth just walked up to you and somehow this tiny 100-year-old lady beat the shit out of you, you couldn't sue her, but you could sue the royalty, the crown, right? That's what the crown always means, is it means the institution. That's funny. That's pretty funny. However, the king, under precedent, cannot be ordered to present evidence. I guess that would just be... Wait, would his lawyer present evidence? Can his lawyer do that? That's interesting. That's weird. I don't know how that works out in, like, I don't know how many examples there are in actual, like, British court history of, like, the king being sued. Or the crown, I guess. I guess it's probably happened, but I don't know if there's, like you can read the court transcripts or something. I don't know how that works over there. No delays, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. There he is again in the back, making that stupid fucking face. The defense's rebuttal.
Hold it!
All the evidence, you say? That's right. And there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing at that Japanese man with the big mustache. Last time the crown was sued was in 1911 over accusations of bigamy. I don't know what bigamy is. Says the Englishman with the bigger mustache. Which means we need to show the man some new evidence to make him change his mind. Only we had that kind of evidence. Don't worry, this summation examination has barely started, really. Perhaps there'll be a shift in the situation that throws an existing piece of evidence in a new light. Let's hope so. To start with, though, I need to find some way out of this deadlock. This isn't the time or the place to be discussing the price of gas, madam. But really, think of the injustice. Air is a gas and air is free. Why should Altamont gas cost money? It makes my blood boil. I can feel myself becoming more ruthless than ever. Bigamy is marrying someone who is already married. Oh. I didn't know that was the word for that. I thought that was just like... I guess it's not quite the same as infidelity. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? This isn't the time or the place to be ruthless either. If I might interject here. Yes, madam. It seems my fellow juror takes issue with the price our company charges for gas. But it's precisely because of thieves like this man that the cost goes up. That's bullshit, but okay. Oh, what a beastly man. That unkempt moustache, those hunched shoulders, poisoning tea and stealing gas. Utterly unforgivable. But no. Mr. Natsume isn't the one who's been stealing gas, as far as we know. I'll thank you not to go adding on more crimes. Mr. Natsume hasn't been poisoning tea either. Well, anyway, I've quite made up my mind. It's as if made up as the price of gas.
Hold it!
Could we please talk about the poison rather than the gas, do you think, sir? Well, if you like. I mean, to be honest, I'd rather take poison over gas every time. You take poison? What I mean is, poison can only poison you. Doesn't explode, does it? Goodness me, what are you talking about? Set him straight, please, lawyer man. Well, it's certainly true that poison isn't prone to exploding. But I think you'll find poison also can't light or heat up a room. Ah, you're right. I hadn't considered that at all. Young lawyer man. Yes? You have a good head on your shoulders. We could use someone like you as our company's legal representative. No, Ryunosuke, don't sell out. Don't go into corporate law. That is a bad direction, my friends. Shout out to the utilities company here that foots its expense bills by increasing rates. Yeah. Yes, gas companies are all evil. Any company that sells energy is inherently evil. Well, I wasn't expecting to pick up more business in the middle of a trial, that's for sure. Anyway, the point is, I haven't had the best experience with gas companies in the past. Can he elaborate on that? No, okay.
Hold it!
Can we please refrain from all this talk of gas? There's an all-out attack underway in here, in case you hadn't noticed, against my company's gas. And I'm supposed to sit here and take it, am I? I don't think so. She's really buzzing now. Get it? The bee. This is the bee. She's get it? Gas. The room is now filling with gas. All I've heard about our wonderful fuel is explosions now and poisonings. What about electricity? What about getting electrocuted? What about that? Little explosion here and there is nothing in comparison. An explosion could hardly be described as nothing, madam. Nevertheless, the theft of your gas is deplorable. Gas. My point exactly, but the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on a daily basis, you know. More devious? Who, madam? Other gas companies, of course. Other gas companies? Not quite what I was expecting. We generate gas and we deliver it to our customers fair and square. Indeed, nobody is questioning that, madam. Altamont is an exemplary gas company. But there are other unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all. What? But if they don't have any gas, how do they go about selling it to people? You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas, you see, and sell that. They steal your gas? How on earth is such a thing possible? Gas companies like ours deliver gas to people's homes via a network of pipes. But these devious reprobates secretly disconnect our pipes and divert our gas into their own rotten pipes. Then they make a contract with the household supplied by those pipes and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours without us even knowing. How do they even do that? Like, they just get onto the street? They're diverting gas into their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft. Yeah, that feel also like if you make a bunch of gas pipes that can just be like diverted into other pipes, I feel like you've that's your own infrastructure problem, lady. I have no stake in this fight. I hope the gas companies beat each other completely to death. When we visit customers' houses to collect the money from their meters, we always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies has been up to its tricks. Hey, what's up with that guy? Hey, what is this face? Can you stop making that face, please?
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, juror number 3? Oh, golly, you mean me? He is pogging. Pog-faced juror. When the defendant is sus. I'm terribly sorry. I was just thinking to myself. I really did catch him off guard there. Thinking about what the lady next to you was saying, correct? Well, yes. I just got a little riled about it recently, you see. Go on. An Altamont gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipework. We need to ask for your cooperation while we carry out a secret check of your property, so the fellow said. So I let him in, and do you know what he did? I'm, afraid I have no idea. Please tell us. He proceeded to take one of my lights off the wall. Then he grabbed the exposed mouth of the pipe and started blowing into it. What do you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company's secrets there. Oh, please, everybody knows, but it was very nearly the death of me, I can tell you. What do you mean? I'll explain if you don't mind. As I said before, these unscrupulous other gas companies connect their customers to our pipe network. Yes, but how does blowing into the pipes come into it? Obviously, there's gas in the pipes, and it's at a fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipe, you could make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment. Oh, I see. In other words, if, upon blowing into the pipe, the lights of an adjacent property that has no contract with your company flicker, you can know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes. Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. That seems kind of unsafe. Like, just blowing into a gas pipe? What if you can get poisoned from that? Right? What if you just inhale a bunch of gas on accident and just fucking fall over dead? That feels like the same sort of danger as huffing a tailpipe. It's the reason why we have teams of workers going around neighborhoods to investigate which lights flicker. The trouble is, the particular worker who came to my house didn't know the strength of his own breath. He blew down the pipe with all his might, and you can guess what happened, can't you? Well, if he blew hard, then... Wait, you mean... That's right. The lights didn't just flicker, they went out. Along with the stove, gas started pouring into the house. What a disaster. The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out. I'm afraid I yelled at the fellow. Are you trying to kill us all, I said. Yeah, that's also extremely unsafe for the reason you just said. You're gonna give everyone carbon monoxide poisoning. So by disconnecting a lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe... Oh, I see. That's our hint for what was going on here, I bet, right? Because there were some fingerprints on the lamp. He blew into the pipe. And that makes the lights dim in the house, which might trick, like somehow he knew the landlord watches the lights flickering to know when somebody turns on the other lights, like turns on their own gas. So if Shamspear did that, it would look like that to the landlord. I feel like that's gonna come up. I don't know why he did it yet, but we'll find out. It's possible to extinguish lamps and stoves connected to the same... Oh, wait. So that's how... Okay, he killed the guy in the other room that way. I see. Right? Shamspear killed the guy who was in the other room that he wanted to be in because he thinks the convict's stash is in there. And he's been trying to do it to Natsume, but somehow it just hasn't killed Natsume yet. It's funny how much reports of ghosts fell when they pull out the gaslighting in old buildings. Yeah, it really makes you think when you're not being constantly poisoned by carbon monoxide. How much it suddenly feels a lot less like ghosts are strangling you at night. And then when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps... Yes, this is almost certainly the clue we've been hoping for. Juror number 3, the defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information. Oh, well, if you like. I don't mind. Well, I do. That's our company's secret method of identifying the rogues that try to rob us. Like I said, madam, it's widely known already. Yeah, I feel like if you're going to people's houses, like, everybody knows. Very well, juror number 3, you will amend your statement accordingly. Yes, my lord. Although I'm not really sure what the point of all this is. There we go, yeah. He blew into the gas, accidentally inhaled some of it, and that could have poisoned him. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious. To whose statements do you refer, counsel? Juror number 6. Do you hear what juror number 3 just said? What? Yes, of course. I heard him mumbling about something or other. There is another explanation here, I believe. Something besides Mr. Natsume's tea did, in a manner of speaking, pass the victim's lips on the night in question. What? What explanation? I wonder, did the police check the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the wall light at the scene to see if there was any traces of poison there? I was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time. The mouth of a gas pipe? Scotland Yard have enough to do without exploring such irrelevance. Oh, what's he holding it now? What a piece of work is a man. What are you trying to say, Mr. Shamspear? What speakest thou? Prithee, is it not strange and strange? That is what I say to thee, sir. Stop galloping. I thought I'd been quite clear, but let me put it another way. The strychnine could have been on the mouth of the gas pipe that feeds... No, okay. Rianowski, come on, dude. I've already figured this out. The gas poisoned him. We've already established that gas will poison you. You're on the wrong track here, buddy. And that is how the poison came to enter your body. Good lord. Are they tasty, then, gas pipes? Is that what you're saying? Or is the gentleman suggesting that the poor man was so desperately hungry he tried to fill his belly with gas? Perhaps no actress would perform a kiss scene with him, then, For shame, madam, speaking thy fancy. I assure you, I'm not just a buffoon that I have to kiss pipes. This is no summation examination, this is a farce. The prosecution will not stand for any more of my learned Nipponese friends' conjecture. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall. In order to have placed his lips to the pipe that feeds it, he would have to be a contortionist. These are empty assertions. He just did it again. There is no possible proof that the man did as you say.
Objection.
No, they've never established that it was strychnine because that was all conjecture, right? They're like, he shared symptoms with strychnine poisoning, but they never found any actual strychnine because the tea wasn't poisoned. But you know what? Let's look at this real quick. The medical report. Toxic effects present 30 minutes after ingestion. And they said, like, the effects of strychnine poisoning is, like, loss of breath. Like, you have a hard time breathing. So, their guess is strychnine poisoning, but carbon monoxide poisoning causes the same things, doesn't it? It's true, I have no proof that Mr. Shamsphere put his lips to the pipe. However, I can say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Shamsphere has been doing something in front of the lamp on his wall. Slap. And I have evidence to prove it. Alright, you've got our attention, lad. I'd like to see how you can be so sure of yourself. So would I. Let's see this evidence then. Now that I've got the jury's ear, I need to make this opportunity count. This is the proof that time and time again, Mr. Shamsphere stood in front of his gas lamp. Obviously, it's this one.
Take that!
What the? These are... Wait, what are they called? Yes, skin prints that were found at the scene. Skin prints, Counsel? I've never heard of such things. The Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however. My lord, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It reveals all of the places that Mr. Shamsphere touched in his room. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, that's black magic, isn't it? Well, if anyone could invent something like this, it's that great Sholmes fellow, that's for sure. I agree. This month's edition of Engineering Thumbs was quite fascinating. We found skin prints in many places that you would expect. On the table, on the costumes. However, Mr. Shamsphere also appears to have been touching some very unexpected places in his room. For example, here. Around the hanging pictures there, indeed, multiple handprints appear to be visible. Well, I wonder, could he have been appreciating the artwork, perhaps? At first, my colleagues and I thought the same. It was actually just you, Ryunosuke. However, imagine standing with your hands where those prints are, and you would find yourself directly in front of... Ah! I don't believe it! The gas lamp! Though the reason why isn't immediately obvious, it's clear that Mr. Shamsphere has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall in front of that lamp. Oh, that's a position a lot of men use. You know, put your hands forward, put your face forward. Right, what have you been up to, you nut? Seems a little fruity to me. I'd ask the court to recall juror number 4's earlier statement. Me? What did I say? You said that blowing into a gas pipe would make the lights in the entire building flicker. And now, if you'll recall juror number 3's statement... What? Me now? When the gas worker who visited his home blew with too much force into the pipe, it caused all the lights and the gas stove to go out, and gas to start leaking into the rooms. Obviously, that incident was an accident. However, the simple fact is... if Mr. Shamsphere were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in his room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building at will. Crikey! Are you suggesting that the man purposefully caused the gas to...
Objection!
Yes. That is exactly what I'm suggesting. Whilst I acknowledge that the prosecution is required to remain silent during a summation examination... He's gonna throw it again. He's gonna throw it. That'll be number 3. I must toast my learned friends not to disregard for the letter of the law. What is the meaning of this, Lord Van Zeeks? This curious photograph, or whatever it is, presented by the defense, the so-called skin prints. I knew he was gonna do this. He's like, that is not real. It's not real evidence. Clearly, it cannot be accepted as any form of usable evidence in this case. But it's an exciting new forensic technique developed by a great detective. It's not nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time on his hands. Ah! Certainly even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Schultz cannot be recognized by the court as formal evidence. But... Please, my lord, if I may. Miss Usato? It was not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wish to present the result of the great detective's investigation of the scene, as a tool by which to explain a possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Thank you, Susato, for that rescue. That's pretty based. And if the trial were to come to an end now, we should never learn the truth behind these mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we can allow that to happen, and I'm sure the jurors would agree. You're right. Whether those strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide. Juror number 3. Oh yes, I do declare the great detective's investigation results sound absolutely fascinating. And I want to hear what that shady actor fellow has to say about those shady handprints. Pop up. Alright, we need like one more. What's the matter with you two? That was foolhardy. Well, I did say it, didn't I? And I don't like to break a promise. No, wait. You heard his lordship. It's not fair dinkum evidence. No, I don't care. I'm pushing the button. Haha. That's all I need, baby. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Just one more juror changes his or her mind. Mr. Natsume's trial will have to continue. Thank you, Miss Susato, but I couldn't have done it without you. Oh no, it was you who identified the clue, after all. This is very much your success. Look, it can be both of us. I'm willing to share for once. Oh, he's pressed. Look at him. Look at him sweating. Ooh, he's gonna get it. Why, Mr. Shakespeare, you seem to be losing your composure. Just one more juror, Mr. Naruhodo. You can do it. Very well. Continue, counsel. Alright, let's, I guess we'll talk to, the bee lady.
Hold it!
Can we please refrain? Oh, wait, no. I already did talk to her. She didn't change. That's what I got set on the whole guy with juror number 3. Okay. I had no idea. It's almost unbelievable. It might seem unbelievable to you, but it's happening all the time, right here in the capital. It's very difficult selling something you can't see, you know. Very difficult indeed. Maybe you shouldn't sell it. This is why I should be the ruler of the world. I would make gas free. Thank you, that will do. Clearly, this is a very involved subject, but I feel we have digressed rather too much already. I concur. If my learned friend wishes to become an expert in gas, I believe the subject will suit him well. To your new career in nothingness. Thank you so much. You will turn your attention to the next juror's assertion, please, counsel. Alright, this guy. Let's talk about his wife's tea. That's a good new direction for this conversation, I think. You mean it's poisoned? That's right. It's happened a tidy few times now. This is most troubling indeed. It's always days like this one when I don't get any wages. I get in at tea time, see? And I see her doing it. My wife, she gets that devilish look on her face and she slips some white powder into my cup. She's gonna fucking kill him. And you drink it anyway? I was brought up proper, I was. If someone gives you a cuppa, you drink it. And what happened to you? What did it taste like? It was god-awful, I believe you me. Salty as hell. Oh, she just put salt in. The wifey. She salted me cuppa. Then I think perhaps what your wife put in your tea was salt. No, so she doesn't even care enough to poison me properly, eh? Unbelievable. Get you a wife who cares enough to poison you. Let's move on, please. Next bit, please. I guess we can press this guy again.
Hold it!
Will we get the same conversation? Ah, here we go. All the evidence, you say? That's right, and there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing. Ooh, not pounding. We're not pounding him. It's all pointing to that Japanese man with the big mustache. Says the Englishman with the bigger mustache. But the offense just demonstrated another possible explanation for the events on the night in question. What do you make of that? What, your so-called skin prints? It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique, developed by the great detective himself. The numerous handprints on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. And if Mr. Shamspear had indeed put his mouth through the gas pipe on the night in question, it can't be denied that there's a possibility that's where the poison was. Well, yes, I won't deny that it's playing on my mind. But as the prosecution rightly says, we should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. Besides, yes, even if the fellow has been up to some mischief with the gas pipe dozens of times before, doesn't mean he got up to the same shenanigans on the night in question, does it? Oh. If you can't make your case better than that, I'm afraid I can't change my stance. You do make a very valid point, sir. What? That's true. Perhaps I was a little hasty. No, wait. Look, you've got your chance here, haven't you? So it's time to prove your theory. If you and your Japanese cohorts can, that is. Just leave our nationality out of this, please. Ryunosuke is so tired of being microaggressioned to. Mr. Naruhodo, if we can't substantiate our position, I'm afraid the jurors that changed their minds before may very well change them back. What can I do? Is there any more proof I can give here? Can I show Mr. Shamspear really did blow down the gas pipe on the night in question? Let me check my court record. Bum 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 bum. I think we have supporting testimony, right? Mr. Garadeb could say that the lights went out. And Natsume could say could support the gas stove going out. He said that before. Let's go with that. No, in truth, I don't have evidence to support my theory. However, there is witness testimony that substantiates it. What's that? Testimony? This is incredible. Whose testimony? Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. A person whose testimony revealed details about the gas in the Garadeb residence that night. Namely... Yeah, it's gotta be Natsume, right?
Take that!
Yeah. Obviously, I'm talking about the defendant. Mr. Soseki Natsume himself. The defendant? At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsume said the following. My lodgings! There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. Even on that fateful night it happened, when I returned from Mr. Shamspeare's room. I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me. On the night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out. So I asked the court, was that a mere coincidence or not? Good golly! So that Shamspeare fellow blew air into the gas pipe to make the man's stove go out on purpose? Now hold your horses there. What would he do that for? Oh, look at him sweat. We've got him on the ropes, guys. Mr. Foreman. What is it, man? I cannot allow a judgment to be passed whilst this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet. However, you must surely agree, there's more to this case than meets the eye. Fair enough. Like I said at the outset, I'm a man of logic, first and foremost. Pop. Haha, we did it. That's 4 jurors leading towards not guilty, my lord. We've overturned the decision. Therefore, the defense calls for the trial to continue. Haha. As the defense has rightfully indicated, the summation examination has concluded with the majority of jurors altering the decisions. 2 jury members now call guilty, 4 now call not guilty. Therefore, the jury's opinion is conflicted, and in accordance with the law of this land, I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Mr. William Shamspeare. My lord, how can thy humble Shamspeare serve thee? What say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination? So God mend me, I do so solemnly swear, I recall aught of either the lamp or the pipe. But your handprints have made a tidy mess all over the wall there. How do you explain that, eh? Pop. I hope the members of the gallery don't get hit by flying wine bottles too often. I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been sullied enough already. Juror number 5. Who, me? As I went to some pains to point out already, a print from the self-professed detective's toy has no place in a British court of law. As such, whether or not this man did indeed stand before the gas lamp with his hands against the wall, blowing pipe as it were, remains at this time unestablished conjecture. You would all do well to remember that. But the prosecution must concede that it would be extremely simple to verify. Just order the mouth of the gas pipe feeding that lamp in Mr. Shamspeare's room to be examined. There are traces of poison there.
Objection!
What appears to be extreme simple is my Nipponese friend's mind. You will recall that in order to check for the presence of poison in the tea, some remnants of tea were required. Yes. Therefore, it shouldn't be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to have been spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making any analysis impossible. I didn't think of that. In any case, counsel, I have failed to see what could possibly have motivated the man to do as you describe. Why on earth would this fellow have wanted to blow ass? Why would he have wanted to blow ass? I don't know why I got onto ass. He wanted to blow air into the gas pipework where he lived. I think it's because I read ahead to gas. Maybe it's just a Freudian slip, who can say? There's only one possibility that I can think of, and that is to use the leaking gas to commit murder. That's right, that's what we're on to. Order! Order, counsel! Precisely whose life do you propose this man was plotting to end? The answer couldn't be simpler. Now we've unraveled the mystery this far. Mr. Shamspear wanted to end the life of Natsume.
Take that!
Yeah, because he's in the room. If a gas lamp were to go out, it would be noticed immediately, of course. But a gas stove, on the other hand, could be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing. I live around those parts myself, so I know what it's like. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove lit is pretty much suicide. You'd freeze to death in no time. Mr. Garadeb, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his part of the residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shamspear was trying to end. Outrageous! I'm talking, of course, about the defendant. Ooh, look at him. Look at him. Look at the guilt on his stupid chin. Mr. Natsume isn't the villain in this case. He's the victim this man was trying to murder. Good gracious!
Objection!
The accused is actually the aggrieved? Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of the case remain unchanged. Namely, that the accused is the aggressor here. What? How can you still claim that? Let us indulge your fancies for a moment and assume there was indeed poison on the mouth of the gas pipe. The question then arises is who put it there? Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his attempt to kill. Yes, that would indeed seem logical. The assailant were unaware, how would he or she have known to lace the end of the gas pipe with poison? So now we must ask, who could anyone have known of Mr. Shamspear's murderous designs? Ah, you mean to suggest? Naturally, the sole possible answer to that question couldn't be more obvious. Only the man whose life was being threatened could have possibly known. What? In other words, the person who put the poison on the gas pipe in what was a clear retaliatory attack can only have been the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Ah! Beep, beep. Whatever Mr. William Shamspear may or may not have contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of a potentially lethal poison attack. And the only person who could have possibly perpetrated that attack is the accused, Mr. Natsume. Yeah, doesn't it change if it was self-defense? The defense counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused, far from it. In fact, now that a clear motive for the poisoning has been successfully established... Oh, good job, Ryunosuke. That suspicion is greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend? Dun dum dum dun dun. We made it fucked ourselves a little bit. I mean, I already know the answers here. Can I please get to them? Yeah, I really like Van Zieks because there's a couple times where you can really tell he's like, uh-oh, you really got me with that one. But then, like, most of the other time he's like, aha, this was all part of my keikaku. How did he manage to turn that around on me so rapidly? Mr. Naruhodo, you must respond. Otherwise, the members of the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. And this may be our last chance to gain the advantage. What advantage? Well, it would seem that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shamspear's room. So we must name that person now and absolve Mr. Natsume of guilt. You mean, name the true culprit? I know it might sound impossible, but if we fail to do that, I have no doubt that Mr. Natsume's fate will be sealed once and for all. As it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence, the poison, it's all pointing to a particular person now. The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you'll make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman. What? Oh, don't you worry. We know exactly what... I do like how, Susato sometimes does that, like, you know, where she's leaning forward with her arms against her sides. It's like the same pose Maya does sometimes. I think that's cute. I don't think Susato is like Maya's ancestor. She's just filling the same sort of role, so she does the same sort of pose sometimes. I think that's just cute. There is one other person who I believe could have been involved in all of this. The true culprit of this crime. The true culprit? A term found only in second-rate novels, featuring third-rate great detectives, my Nipponese friend. But why not? This farce has gone on for so long already, I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax. Hey, I've never had a disappointing climax. Thank you. I don't know if I like Susato more than Maya, but I like that she has, like, some callbacks because she's fulfilling a similar role without being the exact same character. I like that she's different from Maya while still filling a similar role. Tell us, my learned Nipponese friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime? How do I name this? I think I'm gonna have to go with Quinby, right? Because it's not literally her. It's the obviously, it's the gas poisoning that killed or hurt Shamser. He's not dead, obviously, right? Because he inhaled the gas. So I think I'm gonna have to name her, but then I'll elaborate and say it's not actually her. It's that her gas supply is it. I think that's how it works, right? I can't really think of any other way to do this.
Take that!
No, that's not right. Oh, that's not right. Okay, I have to rethink this. You must concentrate harder. Okay, let me think. All right. Maybe it's himself because he... Maybe we can do a similar thing where it's like himself because he inhaled the gas.
Take that!
No. Okay. Maybe I'm thinking too many steps ahead here. Because, like, Ryunosuke seems to still think he was poisoned instead of inhaling the gas.
Take that!
Okay. This is troubling. I have a couple more tries though. I'm running out of people to present at least. I guess we could say Olive Green because she was...
Take that!
Fuck. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, because Ryunosuke still thinks it was actual poison and not gas poisoning. And Olive Green would have a motive for revenge. The name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspear is, I believe, Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green? Miss Olive Green? I do feel as though I've heard that name in the recent past, Consul, but I don't recall where. Miss Olive Green, the woman from 6 days ago. No, she's not a kid. She's an adult. She goes to the art college. The victim in the recent case of stabbing on Briar Road. An incident for which Mr. Natsume was arrested, I hasten to add. Oh, of course, yes, Miss Green. She was left comatose for some 3 days, I believe, but I hear she regained consciousness 2 days ago. And I hardly need to remind the court that Mr. Shamspeare's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Given that the woman was lying comatose in a hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi. True, on the night that the incident occurred, Miss Green was in hospital, unconscious. So on the face of it, it would seem that she couldn't possibly be responsible. But still. My colleagues and I visited Miss Green in hospital yesterday, and we found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison. Good gracious, she had poison? And there's another fact that links Miss Green to this case as well. The defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court. Tell me, Mr. Shamspeare. My lord, pray, what be thy bidding? Are you acquainted with Miss Green? No, never heard of her. Judging by the look on Mr. Shamspeare's face, I think perhaps he genuinely doesn't know her, at least not by name. As the voice of Her Majesty's prosecution here, I adhere to my word. We will see my learned Nipponese friends fast through to its conclusion. I appreciate that. The prosecution requests a short recess, my lord, in order to subpoena the witness and bring her here. Yes, Miss Olive Green. Indeed, my lord. 1 hour should be sufficient. Rianosuke, I can't believe we have to have... This case is a little frustrating now for me, because I'm like, I've already figured it out. They've talked about gas poisoning like 5 times. Miss Olive Green really has nothing to do with it. I guess it'll help us unravel why Shamspeare sent her the letter, though. Very well, I grant the request. Excellent, I hope. The defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say. But at the present time, I feel the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant and his culpability remain the sole subject of this court's attention. I have heard of that Kickstarter game, Anton Blast. Yeah, it's like a Wario Land game, yeah. Yeah, I haven't checked out the demo, but everybody I've seen post about it seems to really like it, so I might check out that demo soon. It does look very cool. I'm gonna make a revelation here, minions. I've never played any of those Wario Land games. I've always thought they looked cool, but I've never taken the time to play them. Maybe in the future though. They've always, like I said, they've always looked pretty fun. I just haven't taken the time. The ones on Game Boy. Thank you, counsels. We will convene in 1 hour. Court is adjourned. Yeah, they always looked fun. I know there was that one, I think it was called Wario World on the GameCube. Like them trying to translate that style of game into 3D. I don't know if it was any good though. Ba 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 ba. Let's continue. The 23rd of February. The... Ooh. Sorry, I had a message. Excuse me, sorry. Very important messages. Very important, what's the word? Whatever. Very important messages for your Hime-sama. I'm back. I'm here. Don't worry. The Wario World game was made by Treasure? Oh, that's weird. Were the Game Boy games by Treasure? Or was that all internal Nintendo? Was it a collab like Capcom making those Game Boy Zelda games? Anyways, the 23rd of February, 11:32 a.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Joyful, jubilant jumping jacks! Oh, Mr. Natsume, I'm so pleased for you. Locum student Miss Naruhodo Esquire and non-locum judicial assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquires. I don't think Esquires is like actually the female equivalent of Esquire. I think it's something else. All the GBA games were in-house. Okay. Now, finally, at long last, there can be proof. Proof that I'm innocent and proof that my tea is innocent. Ah, good morning, my dear fellows. Oh, he's arrived. He has arrived. Did we miss this guy? Did we miss Sholmes? Are we the random Sholmes appearance? Ah, you Herlock Sholmes! May you drink my tepid tea and fall forever silent. You really shouldn't say stuff like that right now, man. I'm your lawyer. You really shouldn't say stuff like that. I thought the tea was innocent. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you came. How wonderful. Please save your derision. I know what you're all thinking. Good morning, he says, when it's very nearly time for luncheon. Your scorn is written clearly across your faces. Nobody said or thought anything of the sort. The truth is, I was determined that today would be the day. As sleep seduced me last night, I thought, tomorrow, for once, I shall not oversleep. I'll rise early and be present in court to support my companions. Such spirited determination has a beauty all of its own, does it not? Oh, yes. And then I began to muse on the subject. Why do people oversleep, I queried. Why, time after time, do they make the same foolish blunder? And the answer came to me at once. It's so delightfully simple. People oversleep because they sleep. Well, is that not an astute insight into the matter? Oh, yes. Upon which realization, I attempted an experiment. I didn't sleep a wink all night. And the results? By first light, I was exhausted and began to be assailed by fits of drowsiness. Shocking. And so, the conclusion of last night's experiment is this. A good night's sleep is quite simply essential. Very good, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, I think most of us probably knew that already. What others presuppose, I prove by experimentation. That, my dear fellow, is the scientific method. Oh yes, and one more thing. Do you remember this? Ah! Yes, of course. Oh wait, sorry, that's Ryunosuke. Yes, of course. It's the poison that Miss Green was about to drink at the hospital yesterday. Oh, you did manage to. It was a laborious task, as the bottle was near empty, but such inconveniences do not hinder Sholmes. I managed to confirm that it contained strychnine. So I was right. Perhaps. Of course, such circumstantial evidence doesn't prove Miss Green's guilt. I shall leave the bottle in your care now, but licking the inside of the neck is not recommended. He licked it, didn't he? I'll lick anything, my dear boy. Oh, hi, Gregson. Gregson, how good of you to come. Forget it. Excuse me. Wait a minute, Inspector. Nope, I'm leaving. I don't want anything to have to do with this fruit. I, don't wish to make a nuisance of myself. From the look on your face, I'd say it's someone else who you think is making a nuisance of himself. My dear Inspector, please speak freely. Pretend that I'm not here. Believe me, I wish I could do that. Life would be a whole lot simpler for me. Do you have the results, Inspector, of the investigation of Mr. Shamspeare's room? Not yet. Shouldn't be long now, though. No, I'm here about something else. The dead convict, actually. Oh, you mean the man from this newspaper article we discovered yesterday in Mr. Shamspeare's room? A man by the name of... yes, Selden. I went through the archives at the yard and dug out the fellow's file. There's something in there that... well, it caught my eye. Something caught your eye? What, Inspector? What? I've copied out the relevant parts for you, so you can read it for yourselves. Thank you. The capital offender's file. The Scotland Yard's file about the convicted criminal Selden that includes a newspaper article about him dying of illness in prison. I want to read it. Let me read it. 18 counts of burglary, 6 counts of suspected murder. Holy shit, that's a lot of murder, actually. Died of natural causes whilst in prison, his final moments witnessed only by his cellmate. The estimated £1,000 worth of loot he stole remains unrecovered. Manchester's Strangeways Prison announced that the death of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes in the early hours this morning. He had been suffering with fever since the end of October. Alerted by the shouts of his fellow cellmate, medical staff arrived to find him already dead before his capital punishment could be carried out. Yeah, they mentioned that. He died beforehand. Interesting. Include the details that were in the newspaper cutting we found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. I'll rearrange everything in the court record so we don't have duplicate information. Oh, that makes sense. We don't need the newspaper clipping anymore. Yeah, she took it out. That makes sense. Why are you giving us a copy of this important file, though? Well, you're the ones who turned up the clue in the first place, aren't you? I'm just making sure things get handled in the proper fashion. Oh, Scotland Yard's workings are so wonderful. Indeed, my dear fellows, and the inspector here is a shining diamond in its crown. A shining diamond in the rough, maybe. Look, I just don't want to be beholden to a lawyer, that's all. That's fair, I guess. I also don't like being beholden. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court proceedings are about to resume. Make your way into the courtroom at once. Well, I shall leave you then. I'll be listening with interest from the public gallery. Not nodding off at all, certainly not. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm rather tired of seeing Mr. Mustache in floods of tears, personally, so the best of luck to you. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Yes, Mr. Natsume? It's time, isn't it? Yes, this is it. Miss Olive Green and Mr. William Shamspeare. This is going to be the final battle. I believe in us. I won't really have saved Soseki-san until I've exposed the whole truth of everything that's been going on. But it's all coming to a head now. You can do it, Ryunosuke. You have to. We already got our to be continued, I guess. (23rd of February, 12:30 p.m., the Old Bailey Courtroom. Ahem hem. Little throat clearing, and I'm back in it. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again now. Before the recess, we heard a most startling accusation from the defense. Namely, that the victim of the case we heard here only a few days ago is the true perpetrator of this incident. A reckless, rash, and prejudiced charge of wrongdoing, in my opinion, my lord. However, the prosecution has tried to extend every courtesy to this amateur newcomer from dubious eastern shores. Thank you for that backhanded consideration. A rather cold assessment from the Honourable British Prosecutor, I must say. So, Lord Von Zeeks, is the new witness present and ready to take the stand? This is like one of those cases where we have to make an innocent person feel really bad to get to the actual truth of the case, huh? That's what's gonna happen with Miss Green. Ready and waiting in the witness's antechamber, my lord. Very well. Bailiff, bring the witness in. Oh, she's painting. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court, please. William Shamspeare, my liege. For mine occupation, I can say only that I be a tragic victim to be pitied. Currently unemployed, in other words. I'm Olive Green. I'm a fledgling artist. Well, no. Not a fledgling, really. A hopeless failure who's too weak-spirited to admit she has no talent, I suppose. Also, currently unemployed, in other words. You stack no paper. What a coterie. Mr. Shamspeare. My lord, I am thy humble servant. I'm afraid that you are no longer merely the victim in this affair. Possibility has been raised that you're in fact the assailant, intent on taking the life of your fellow lodger. The part you have played in this whole business will be thoroughly scrutinized, I assure you. I would for naught else, my lord. And Miss Green. Yes? You are aware of the reason you have been summoned to this courtroom today, I presume? Yes, the officer did explain. He said I poisoned this ridiculous buffoon. And do you accept the charge, Miss Green? I don't know anything about any poisoning. And I don't know anything about this man. Come, lady. Die to live. What did he mean by this? Verily, I know not thy prickly pea-pigmented personage. It's a lot of alliteration, but I managed to get through it. Very well, let us proceed with the matter at hand. That being to ascertain whether or not Miss Green has any involvement in this affair. It's all very strange indeed. Why would you suspect me? I barely ever go to the East End anyway. It so happens that I passed by that neighborhood 6 days ago, that's all. And on the night that this man was poisoned, I was still in hospital fighting for my life. I'm fighting for my goddamn life. Yes, having been unfortunately caught up in the incident on the street outside the Gerdeb household. Yeah, that's right, she got stabbed in the fucking back. An incident that rendered you unconscious for some 3 days. I was struck in the middle of my back by a knife through no fault of my own, and now I'm under suspicion? What other irrelevant things might I be suspected of? It's all very disturbing. Your energies may be better spent worrying around about random knife attacks, I feel, Miss Green. At this point in time, all that appears to connect you with Mr. Shamspeare's lodging is the Briar Road incident of 6 days ago. That's why we would like you to testify formally now about exactly what happened. Oh no! The incident 6 days ago? You mean you want me to relive that awful accident? Unfortunately, yes. Please tell the court what happened that day. And of course, we will be interested to hear from you about your movements that day too, Miss Shamspeare. But what happened 6 days ago has nothing to do with me being poisoned. Let us proceed, then. The witnesses will present their formal testimony to the court on the subject of the incident that took place on Briar Road the evening of the 17th of February. Rianosuke, you're really on the complete wrong track here, I think. But whatever. It was 6 days ago at about 5 p.m. I was walking along in the snow and I was suddenly stabbed in the back. Coincidentally, it happened to be just outside the house where the man in this case have their lodgings. I was at the tavern on the eve of which thou speakest, for I had bespoke my supper. It was the first time I'd been in the area. I had a little matter to attend to, that's all. Anyway, I was admitted straight to hospital, so I knew nothing about all this business. Miss Green is a lot more put together than she was when we visited her in the hospital. That could either be suspicious or just evidence of her newfound will to live. Yes, a second incident inside a week at what I believe to be aptly described as the haunted lodgings. One can only presume this is a most unfortunate coincidence. Meanwhile, you say we're not in your room, Mr. Shamspeare. 'Twas the following morn when I did awaken that I learned of the dire events. Mary, what a commotion did the officers of the law make on the floor above mine. When Soseki-san was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. As suspected, there's nothing connecting these two witnesses but happenstance. It's true, it does seem as though they're unrelated at first glance. But I'm not so sure. There's something lurking in the shadows here, I feel certain of it. And this is my one and only chance to expose it. Counsel, you may now cross-examine these two witnesses if you wish. Yes, my lord. Okay.
Hold it!
I guess we can get there's only like 4 statements in this. We need to get as much as we can. I'm well acquainted with the case. I'm sorry you had to go through that. It was awful. I still can't believe I was unconscious for so long. And I woke up to find that the case had been solved and the culprit arrested. Yes, the incident has been resolved already. Perhaps it would help you to consider it a bad dream that ended with your awakening and should now be forgotten. You're gonna take a nap, Jessu? Well, I hope you get plenty of the rest you need. I can't have my minions being exhausted now, can I? See you later if you come back. Yes, I suppose so. Thank you. But before you put it completely behind you, Miss Green, I need you to remember the details one last time. You must tell the court exactly what happened that day for us to arrive at the truth about this new case. The trouble is, there's nothing to tell, really. I was just walking along the pavement. Bop, 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 bum.
Hold it!
Coincidentally. What were you doing there that day, though? What do you mean? The art school you attend. What's it called? Yes. It's the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. According to Mr. Sholmes, that's just in the vicinity of Brixton Road, which is some 10 stops away from the scene on the Underground. I believe you mentioned before that you also live on Brixton Road, isn't that right? So why, then, would you have been walking along Briar Road in the middle of the East End? Well, it's because, oh yes, of course. I thought it might make a nice picture. The witness is a student of art. City-dwelling artists can't all paint grand urban vistas. That's right. I happen to like the crumbling look of that part of town. Perhaps quaint would have been a less grating term. The point is, she's definitely hiding something. Yes, it seems she's not going to be forthcoming with the truth. I mean, she told us back then, right? She was going to meet the person that sent her that letter. If she's trying to hide why she was there that evening, it must mean there's a reason for her not wanting us to know. That's the key to this. And you, Mr. Shamspeare, on the evening of the incident 6 days ago, would you tell the court what exactly you were doing? I mean, did she give us the letter? I forget. She did not. I guess we'll have to use that photo with her dead boyfriend as evidence. Would you tell the court what exactly you were doing? It would be my pleasure, sire.
Hold it!
Tell me more about this. A tavern, you say? Which one? 'Twas the Slug and Salad where I did tarry. 'Tis a jewel in the East End. And a little unexpected, I feel. What do you mean, Lord Van Zeeks? The Slug and Salad offers unusually fine dining, for the locality at least. Not an establishment you'd expect to be patronized by a man with not even a crumb of bread in his own room. It's true. The menu lists premium crusts of bread and glasses of water, and definite levels of cloudiness. I would have expected grub's grubbery in the local vicinity to be more appropriate for your means. Watery soup and mushy peas, or rather, soupy water and pea-like mush. All equally appetizing. I just wanted to try some water in a different pub for once. What's wrong with that? How different can water really be? Well, cloudy water is pretty gross. Or perhaps there's a more plausible explanation. A specific reason why he had to go to that particular establishment. Agreed. The fact that on the day of all days he dined at a place he wouldn't normally, it does stand out. So Mr. Shamspeare's own actions on the day of the incident 6 days ago were slightly suspicious. I wonder if we have some evidence that can explain those actions. Yes! Mr. Shamspeare. It's the letter. It's the letter. We have the part of the envelope it goes with, though. Yes, sire. On the day in question, is it not the case that you visited the Slug and Salad, a place you don't normally patronize? For a very particular reason? I don't know what you're talking about. Pray, if thou hast some purpose, speakest. Very well. I will present the court with evidence. Evidence that explains why you had to be at the Slug and Salad that day. Namely... It's either the envelope or the picture. I'm gonna go with the picture first. That might not be it, though. There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. That's Hamlet. Yeah. Yeah, okay, it's the envelope then. Bum, ba, bum, ba, ba, bum. Gladly I would thy bidding do, Horatio. We might have to get another statement first, because I don't think this envelope would be enough. I don't think what we have right now is enough.
Hold it!
What little matter, Miss Green? Please elaborate. It was nothing, really. It's not worth mentioning. If you remember, you mentioned it to us yesterday at the hospital. It was related to the card you were holding. Yeah, her dead boyfriend. Her BF. Miss Green. What was that? She clearly just hid something behind her back. From memory, I believe the card contained a note that read, I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Well, what does that matter? This has nothing to do with Duncan. Haha.
Excuse me.
I knew it was you fink bastard. You rat fink. Mr. Shamspeare, do you have something to share with the court? To be or not to be? That is the question. I knew he would get to that one eventually. Ah, pray, forgive me. The great bard's word springeth from within me when ne'er a thought. Don't tell me it's because you're possessed by Shakespeare's spirit, right? Hearing Miss Greed's words a moment ago seems to make you think of something. Something of relevance, perhaps? Well, nay, sire, 'twas nothing at all. Presumably you know the name, though. Mr. Duncan Ross, I mean. After all, you were both lodgers in the same house. I would it were so, but sadly nay. Lodging be a lonely occupation, sire. My lodging fellows be rarely known to me. So you haven't heard of him, even though he passed away in the room just one floor above yours? Miss Green. Me, my lord? Have I done something wrong? The card that was mentioned before, containing the note, do you have it upon your person? I do, yes, but I don't need it anymore. In fact, I should throw it away, really. Before you dispose of it, the court will take it as evidence, please. Ah, there we go. That's what we need. Of course. That's what links Mr. Shamspeare and Miss Green. It's Duncan Ross. Now, continue with your testimony, please, Miss Green. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, you pursued Mr. Shamspeare wonderfully there. It's worked out well, hasn't it? We have a new clue at last. All right, now I need to pull off a really insightful objection somewhere. Well, as you've managed to expose this promising new angle, I wonder if you should perhaps try to develop that. Ah, yes, of course. And yelling out objections isn't necessarily the best way to do that, I suppose. Now we can... Yeah, because we have this and this now.
Objection.
I didn't mean to do that. I meant to press examine. Let me look at it. The envelope has been ripped open rather carelessly, hasn't it? Miss Green strikes me as the type to open correspondence more neatly than that. Ah, what is it? The way the envelope is torn. I'm almost sure I've seen this exact same shape somewhere else. Oh, you don't mean... Were you thinking of this piece of evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Exactly, that's it. Try to match them up. Yeah, there we go. They go together perfectly. This torn-off end of the envelope clearly belongs with this card. There we go. Okay, we've combined them. Now, there's nothing else to look at here. Okay. Whoopsie!
Hold it!
Now we can present new evidence. I got a little bit ahead of myself again, but now I know. For sure. Ba-ba. There we go. Now we can do it.
Take that!
I believe this card reveals the answer. Good lord, Miss Green's card, you mean? Yeah, her green card. That's right, my lord. It reads, I'm very funny, by the way. You should all laugh. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Mr. Shamspeare, your actions on the afternoon of Miss Green's stabbing are exactly as described in this note. Ah, Personally, I find it hard to believe that's a coincidence. Don't you, Mr. Shamspear? Well... Excuse me, can I say something? Yes, Miss Green. That card was delivered to me. It doesn't have anything to do with this odd man, does it? Well, you'd think so, yes, but it's hard to believe it's merely... My lord, may I? May you what, Miss Green? I'd like to make something very clear about that card. Very well, then, you may amend your testimony to include details about that peculiar note. This note was delivered to me at my address. It's nothing to do with the odd man next to me here.
Hold it!
See if I can... I think you said that you retrieved it at the day before the incident, didn't you? Yes, that's right. There appears to be no indication of the sender's name or address on the envelope. It was in my letterbox, and that's all I know, I'm afraid. I have no idea who sent it. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Who is this Duncan Ross, please? A friend of mine. He attended the same art school as I do. He passed away in a tragic accident a month ago now, though. I wasn't sure what to make of that note, to be honest, but at the end I decided to go. So you found out what the information was? Of course I didn't. You're not thinking straight. Whilst on her way there, she was stabbed in the back. As my learned friend hopefully remembers. Yes, of course. She never made it to the meeting. There we go, okay. So now I can present the other half of the letter. The ripped envelope. Yeah, this one.
Objection!
Because it was in Shamspear's room. The day before the incident, exactly 1 week ago now, this note was delivered to your address. And upon carrying out the instructions in the note, you found yourself in hospital. Yes, I did. It's terrible. Everything that's happened to me. Yes, it is terrible. If it's all true, that is. What do you mean? Miss Green, have a look at this, please. It's the torn-off end of an envelope. Oh, is it? And it so happens that it fits together perfectly with the envelope of the note you received. Where did you find that? In Mr. Shamspear's room. In my room? Yeah, I knew it would come to this. We had whatever this is all about. Mr. Shamspear, do you perhaps remember this note from somewhere? Well... Your actions that afternoon follow the instructions in the note to the letter. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on 17th. And so that's exactly where you went. Let me ask you again, Mr. Shamspear. You already knew about this note, didn't you? He knew. Look at him sweat. And you, Miss Green. What do I do? As this torn-off end of the envelope proves, the note was originally in Mr. Shamspear's room. So how is it that it came to be in your possession? I don't have the first idea. I'm just a fledgling artist, after all. There is only one explanation. You broke into Mr. Shamspear's room and stole it. Uh-oh. She's panicking. You did what? Sorry, thou hast what? Thou were in my room? What on earth do you want with me? It would seem that both witnesses need to testify again. She has stayed silent. Excuse me. Miss Green. Yes? Whilst you have the court's sympathy, I'm sure, for the suffering you have endured in recent events, Anyone found to be given false testimony in a court of law will be duly punished. Please bear that in mind. Perjury bad, as Ryunosuke's descendant would someday learn. Yes, I know. Very well then, witnesses. You will give formal testimony again now. But also, as we would learn from that same guy, sometimes perjury good. On the subject of this curious anomaly regarding the note Miss Green claims to have received. Let's go again. Let's go again. I do remember now. 'Twas a week ago, peradventure, that note was delivered unto me. On the day writ therein, I did tarry a long hour at the slug and salad, yet nobody came. Thereafter, on the evening I shared the company of the Japanese fellow, I did see the note was vanished. I don't know what you mean. You think I snuck into this man's room, do you? Why would I? I can point out the villain here, and as for that torn-off piece of the envelope, I don't know anything about it. She's lying super hard right now. You now claim to have received this letter, do you, Mr. Shamspeare? Faith, 'tis so, my lord. I'm sure, I think they're both lying, actually. And I would swear to have it set upon the table in my humble lodgings. Yet 'tis clear to me now that since I returned from the tavern that night, I have not laid eyes upon it. Well, that being the case, young lady, it would appear that your testimony was a lie? Is that what you think? How unfair of you to think I'm the one lying. I beg your pardon. I'm just a fledgling artist, as I said, and fledgling artists don't lie. That note was delivered to me at my address. Besides, we all know that who the liar around here is. If that's true, Miss Green, how do you explain the facts? This part of the envelope was, without question, found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. I don't see why I should explain. Sorry? I'm a fledgling artist. My job here is to just say what happened, that's all. It's your job to give the explanations and the proofs. You, the fledgling lawyer. I mean, that's really not true, actually. I feel like your responsibility as a witness is to explain things that you do. The fledgling will do his best. Evidently, my learned friend's cross-examination is our only hope of learning the truth. Well, counsel, I'm ready, my lord. All right, let's do it, I guess. Gotta tell Miss Green what for. I don't feel bad for her anymore. She's being very uncooperative now. Very well, then. The defense will now proceed with the cross-examination of the witness. Miss Green clearly did break into Mr. Shamspeare's room. There can be no question of that. And that's how she acquired the note. Yes, two facts that are starting to lead me to a possible explanation for all of this. And it's not a pretty one. I'm actually really not sure who's lying here.
Hold it!
And can you shed any light on the contents of the note at all? Nay, sire, 'tis as strange to me as a foreign tongue. Even with a knowledge of literature as great as my own, verily, 'tis impenetrable. But Mr. Duncan Ross had lodgings in the same household as you. In effect, he was your neighbor, so surely you knew him, didn't you? Alack, if the choice is betwixt I knew him and I knew him not, then 'tis with foreboding that I be forced to declare we were by some small measure acquainted. But he had the picture of Duncan in his room. That's surely going to come into play very soon. Right? This picture, this was found hidden underneath Shamspeare's floorboards. So clearly you must have been interested in the guy. Despite your claims, though, you followed the note's instructions and went to the Slug and Salad. The Slug and Salad is such a terrible name, oh my god. Who would want to eat at a place named that? Presumably that has nothing to do with your knowledge of literature? Marry, naught will have the better of me, sire, save for the lure of curiosity. So 'tis true, I was compelled by my own eager heart to betake myself to the tavern. Yet in the end, my curiosity was not satiated.
Hold it!
But nobody came. So even after waiting for an hour, nobody appeared? You'd like to eat there for posterity's sake? I guess it's your own curiosity that needs to be satiated, huh? Well, yes, sir, 'tis as thou sayest. Really? You paused for a moment before you answered. In truth, when thou asked whether nobody appeared, I did suddenly recall... Really? Do you mean to tell the court that somebody did appear after all? I was not alone that night at the Slug and Salad, my lord, no. 'Tis returning to me now. I did treat my lips to almost clear water, and mine innards to a premium crust of bread. And all around me danced a great many companions. What do you mean? Flies, sir, flies. Good lord. Somebody get the health inspector out there. In the name of Beelzebub, what were they? Fairies, perchance, from a midsummer night's dream, come to haunt me. I think they were just flies. I can't help thinking that the flies ought to choose something more wholesome to buzz around. Get his ass, drag his ass, Susato. Is that wrong of me? Thereafter, on the evenings, I shared the company. Okay.
Hold it!
When exactly did you notice it had gone missing? Such idle thoughts ne'er could occupy my mind. I am busied with greater ideas. In other words, you didn't notice. Several days passed between your outing to the tavern and Mr. Natsume's visit to your room. Yes, it would appear that the note disappeared sometime in that interval. Such idle thoughts ne'er could occupy my mind. I am busied with greater ideas. And yet during that time, Miss Green was comatose in hospital, was she not? Clearly then, she could not have been stealing things from Mr. Shamspeare's room. Yes, of course. It's all some sort of misunderstanding, isn't it, Mr. Prosecutor, sir? I've got nothing to say to you, peasant. You have so far failed to give a satisfactory explanation as to how you came by the note. See, this is when Van Zieks is like starting to see that Ryunosuke might actually be right about this whole case, so he starts turning against all the witnesses. It's pretty funny how he does that, actually. It's one of the things I like about him. I am not here to advocate for your defense, madam. I won't tolerate inconsistencies in your story. You would do well to remember that. Oh, dearie me. What's Lord Van Zieks is getting at? Yeah, despite his bigotry, Van Zieks is a loyal prosecutor.
Hold it!
Yeah, he's one of the few prosecutors who's like... How do I put this? He's not outright villainous at the beginning. Like, Edgeworth kind of started that way. And so did Franziska. And Godot was antagonistic to Phoenix the whole time. And I guess Black Hole wasn't so bad. And neither was the German guy whose name I can't remember at this moment. Like, he wasn't antagonistic towards Apollo, I guess. But, Von Zieks is pretty unique, I think, as a prosecutor, because he's, like, right off the bat, he's pretty blatant about how he's actually interested in justice and finding the truth. I think that's interesting. I think that is an interesting twist for once, that he's just not outright a dick. Like, he's a dick because he's racist, but not because he is a bad prosecutor. It seems that this note was actually delivered to Mr. Shamspeare about 1 week ago. Yeah, Godot is funny because he's antagonistic towards Phoenix, not because he's corrupt, but just because he hates Phoenix specifically. Because of Mia. He literally looks at Phoenix as like, it should have been you. Seems that this note was actually delivered to Mr. Shamspeare about 1 week ago. Yeah, I love Godot. Oh, does it? But for some reason, it ended up in your possession. I can't think of any way that could have happened, except for you breaking into Mr. Shamspeare's lodgings.
Objection!
But for what reason would the witness have done that? I won't deny that Miss Green's possession of the note would appear to defy logic. However, until and unless her involvement in this case can be proven in some other way, any further pursuit of this note is meaningless. Miss Green could only have come to be in possession of the note by stealing it from Mr. Shamspeare's room. And yet, there's no obvious reason why she would have done such a thing. What if there was some other reason she broke into his lodgings, though? Yes, we should pursue that idea, Mr. Naruhodo. We're close now. I can feel it. We're so close to a breakthrough. I can point out the villain here.
Hold it!
So you don't want to tell the court the truth about the letter, is that it? I'm a fledgling artist, remember? Artists are nearly always introverted characters. Introverted? Fie, this fledgling doth readily cast aspersions about my nature. Yet I am an angel, a seraph. Birds do harmonize with my song. This dude's literally out here claiming to be a Disney princess. The wind doth frolic on my wing. Oh pity, wherefore dost thou accuse one so pure of heart, ample woman? Why is he flossing? Stop it. Pure of heart? I don't think so. Even a fledgling like me can see you're just a failure. Tragedy. Thou shalt not know the true heart of an artist until thine instruction hereafter by death. Oh, the days, oh, the years! Alas, to enlighten thee, thou must wait so long and in vain. Your Honor, the witness is claiming to be a Disney adult. Death. Death penalty. Mr. Naruhodo, interject with some clever remark. This is your chance to shine. I'm no Shakespearean actor, Mrs. Otto. No, as far as I can tell, the only thing that's going to resolve this argument is evidence. Yes. It's clear that Miss Green did in fact break into Mr. Shamspeare's room, isn't it? And that's where she found this letter. Yes, two more or less foregone conclusions that lead me to one terrifying conclusion. Terrifying? Yes, I'm afraid to say that the outcome of this cross-examination may well change how we look at this case completely. That's right. Maybe I'm completely wrong about Shamsphere getting poisoned because he was huffing fumes. But I don't see how Miss Green could have figured out he puts his mouth on pipe all the time. And poisoned that part specifically. I don't know how she would have figured that out.
Objection!
Is this it? Oh, no. I was just playing devil's advocate. Darn. Okay, let's be a little more careful. I've only got 2 of these left. I think this is all true. I think we have to focus on what she's saying. I don't think this is it. Yeah, there's nothing new with this. I'm thinking. Let me put on my thinking glasses. Here we go. Thinking. Now, there's nothing here that can indicate the date.
Objection.
No. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. This is a tough one.
Hold it.
Did anything? Did I press this one?
Hold it.
What am I missing here? What am I missing? That's when he talks about flies.
Hold it. Hold it. Objection.
This is a tricky one. What am I missing here? No container was found, right? You know what? I didn't examine this. Maybe I should do that. So this is the poison we've been hearing so much about. Strychnine. There are a few remnants on the bottom of the bottle here. Look. You mustn't be tempted to try it. Of course not. As long as we don't lose this trial. No, even if we lose the trial. No, we mustn't lose the trial in the first place, Mr. Naruhodo. Make your mind up, Susato-san. Okay, so there's nothing else to this bottle, it looks like. Yeah. I like that we can examine the Kazuma's armband. Gosh, this is so hard. It has to be these two statements. Right? The two statements from Miss Green. Right? Maybe it's the bottle poison? Right? We can... Yeah, maybe we can say you snuck into the room to give him the poison, right? That seems, I don't know, it seems kind of, this part is hard for me because this all seems so vague. Oh. Alright, I was right. I'm no longer thinking. Yesterday at the hospital, we saw you with this bottle. And though the contents spilt during the course of our meeting, a small quantity remained. Sometimes you just gotta guess. Oh! According to the defense's independent analysis, Mr. Sholmes' chemistry set, the liquid that was still in the bottle was identified. Strychnine. What? Strychnine? The very same poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspear. That's right, I am thinking. Ah! Miss Green, you broke into this man's lodgings. For one reason and one reason alone. To cover the end of the pipe that feeds the gas lamp in Mr. Shamspear's room with poison. Can this be? You broke into my room to... It may seem incredible to the court, but from the remaining clues, there is only one logical conclusion that we can reach. The person who attempted to take Mr. Shamspear's life with poison was you, Miss Olive Green. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dearie me. She has died. What? What? I hit something. Bum, bum, bum. Sorry. Order! Order! Counsel, are you seriously suggesting this woman put poison on the end of the gas pipe with intent to kill? Yes, my lord. There's no other way to explain the facts. But if Miss Green did indeed set this odious trap 6 days ago, and the victim had put his mouth to the pipe that very evening as expected, the attempted murder would have happened 6 days ago, surely. Well, that's a very good point. Perhaps not, my lord. See, this is where Van Zieks is starting to be on our side, so he's trying to help us out a little bit. Please stop being stupid. There was a significant police presence in the area that evening on account of the incident on Briar Road. Local residents were being interviewed throughout the night as part of the ongoing inquiry. A circumspect criminal would likely have chosen not to carry out any wrongdoing at that time. Lord Van Zieks. And of course, the following morning, there was more activity at Mr. Shamspeare's address. More activity? Ah, yes! You mean his fellow lodger, Mr. Natsume, being arrested on suspicion of murder. That's right, and as the defense has already proposed, Mr. Shamspeare was meddling with the gas in the pipe for a very sinister reason himself. To cause the gas stove in Mr. Natsume's room to go out, thereby asphyxiating the occupant. But once Mr. Natsume had been arrested, his room was under constant surveillance by the police. In the circumstances, Mr. Shamspeare had no reason to blow air into the gas pipe. His intended victim being in a prison cell. With the need to tamper with the gas removed, the poison on the pipe lay dormant. Okay, so it didn't evaporate or anything. And then, 3 days ago now, the situation changed again. Right! Mr. Natsume's trial, which took place here at the Old Bailey, came to an end. The trial in which the man stood accused of stabbing Miss Green in the back, but was duly acquitted. That resulted in Mr. Natsume returning to his lodgings for the first time in 2 days. And that very night, his gas stove mysteriously went out, and Mr. Shamspeare was mysteriously poisoned. In conclusion, the poison that was present on the mouth of the gas pipe had been put there in the victim's room some 4 days earlier. Ah, Mary! With that new understanding, it becomes clear that this letter was all part of the plan. What plan? The court will recall that the note gave instructions to visit the Slug and Salad at 5 o'clock, and that the recipient should tell nobody else. The reason for those instructions are now clear. To ensure that the lodger would not be at home at the stated time. To make sure I wasn't home? That's right, so she could sneak in, put the poison on the pipe, and without being seen, right? He wouldn't be home, so nobody would see her. And then, funnily enough, as soon as she walked out, the knife falls on her. Exactly. While you were out, Miss Greenwood could safely slip into your room, knowing that you wouldn't be disturbed. You mean to say, the letter? Was written by Miss Green, yes. And in order to cover her tracks, she took it away with her when she left. Just after she smeared poison over the mouth of the gas pipe in your room. My question is, how did she know to put poison on the gas pipe? Like, that's obviously how Ross died, right? Shamspeare put out his gas stove at night, which asphyxiated him in his sleep. But how did she figure that out? That's what I want to know. Order! Order! What do you have to say for yourself, witness? Just who are you? Why did you try to kill me? Miss Green's motive should be obvious. It's all tied up with someone whose name we've heard several times already during the course of this trial. So, that's what's behind all this. You will share your apparent understanding with the court, please, counsel. Which person is behind this woman's motive for the attack on the victim's life? It's Duncan Ross. Duncan Ross. That's right. Before the defendant, Mr. Natsume, took up residence in the lodgings at Mr. Garreteb's, somebody else was renting the room. Mr. Duncan Ross. I knew I'd heard the name somewhere else. It was all over the papers a month ago, when the man died in strange circumstances at the haunted lodgings. That does ring a vague... Ah, of course, yes, I remember now. The young man, they claimed, was strangled by the convict's curse or some such. Sadly, my lord, it wasn't a curse of any kind, nor was it an accident. The man died as a result of Mr. Shamspeare blowing into the gas pipe and causing gas to leak into the room. It was murder, plain and simple. Ah! Yeah, Shamspeare murdered Duncan Ross, so Miss Green wanted revenge. Well, what do you know? The world is so unfair. Curses, curious deaths, that's all people care about. Yes, gas is now filling your room. If it's an interesting story they want to know, it doesn't cross their minds that real people are involved. And once they're bored, just 1 month later, once the story's lost its appeal, everyone's forgotten him. You mean Duncan was... Mr. Ross was Miss Green's fiancé. Fiancé? You may not have known until now who Miss Green really is, Mr. Shamspeare. I almost said actual Shakespeare. But she's known exactly who you are all along. Because you're her sworn enemy. The murderer who took the life of the man she was to marry. Marry! Miss Green, is it not the case that in order to exact revenge on Mr. Shamspeare, you smeared poison over the end of the gas pipe? Oh, I thought she would look like menacing behind her face, but she just looks sad. This is all quite extraordinary. Am I correct in my understanding that you now accuse both parties, counsel? Each on different counts of murder? It's gotten a little complicated. Yes, my lord, that's correct.
Objection!
Inhaling so deeply, it appears that my fledgling learned friend has taken in a lungful of dubious gas that's causing his judgment to be clouded. What? Why would Mr. Shamspeare have wanted to kill these lodgers, as you say? Okay, here's where we come to the convict, right? The convict's loot that he was convinced was hidden in his old room. This is what, we've heard about this before. Yeah. This is what I figured out way earlier, and I was wondering, when we would get to it. You have completely failed to provide a motive to substantiate your accusation against the man. Yes, that's right, Mr. Reaper, my liege. I have been slighted. 'Tis lies, all lies. I deny every utterance. And you'll have to forgive me, Mr. Naruhodo, sir. But I don't intend to admit to anything either. Miss Green, I'm sure you'll think I'm being very rude, but... Ha! I think she's holding it like a sword and shield. That's cute. I'm not going to be sent to the gallows for the likes of this scoundrel.
Objection!
But you broke into the man's room. If you didn't do it to smear poison on the pipe, what was your reason? I thought I'd have a look around, that's all. I just did it as a funny little joke. Sorry? You're right, I suspected him. So I thought perhaps I might find some evidence or something in his room. Evidence that it was him who took Duncan's life. Oh vileness, oh villainy, oh tyranny, oh rotundity of woman. Come on. We don't have to call her fat. But in any case, whene'er I left my room, I do turn the key in the lock. That whole place is falling apart. The locks on the doors are no different. Duncan showed me once how to unlock the door with some tubs and a piece of wire. Oh, she lockpicked it. Yeah, you do that to your friends all the time, Cassian? You sneak into their room? Oh awfulness, oh tyranny, oh profanity of woman. Classic British prank, bring into your friends' rooms. We will consider your trespassing on some future occasion, but for now, tell the court what you found, what evidence your search revealed. Well, I spotted the note that I'd sent to him lying on the floor. When I went to pick it up, I noticed something. One of the floorboards was loose, and underneath it I discovered a secret hiding place. Eh? Yes, we also discovered that hiding place. Inside we found a newspaper cutting, a photograph, and an empty tin box. Ah, yes, well the thing is, when I found it, the box wasn't empty. Oh, the mystery. Tell us, what's in the box? What's in the box? The box. What? There was something in it? Yes. The key she's had around her neck for 2 whole games. Shu Takumi, you bastard. It's been there the whole time? This is good. I like, the mystery. This rather nice key. Ah! All according to Keikaku, yes. What are you doing with that? What the? Like, I noticed the key around her neck before, and I was like, what's that for? Every ounce of color has drained from his face. Give it here. Give it to me now. It's mine. I inherited it. What was that, witness? What did you say? You inherited it? No, What's all this about? He inherited that key? It was obviously important to you since you'd gone to such lengths to hide it, so I took it. I don't know what it's for, but you took something precious from me, so I took something precious from you. Honestly, kind of based. So what if it means you can't open something now? I don't care. Give it back this minute. Give it to me. Calm yourself, witness. So Mr. Shamspear has tried, and in one case succeeded, to take the life of 2 lodgers now. Yes, his motive for doing so is the key to everything that's happened. Key. It's true that there appears to be no motive to support the accusations against Mr. Shamspear at first. But considering everything we now know, I think there is actually something that could explain it. What? Slap. I love the slap. It's so cute. I need to recall every piece of evidence at our disposal. Everything we've seen and heard. Because I'm sure that I just caught a glimpse of the link that runs through all of these events. I do trust the vision. I always trust Shu Takumi's vision. The man's great. Fantastic writer, honestly. And yes, you're exactly right, Cassian. I love the multi-witness stand. They kind of had it in Ace Attorney versus Professor Layton. I feel like that was almost a prototype for what we're seeing here now. Because Shu Takumi wrote that one. Or at least co-wrote it with the Professor Layton writer, I think. Yeah, I was just bringing that up, KB in the world. The Professor Layton crossover is, funnily enough, a prototype for what Great Ace Attorney would be. In that case, counsel, I must demand that you present evidence to the court in support of your claim. What is it that you say can explain the motivation for Mr. Shamspear's alleged crimes? This.
Take that!
That's an official police report, is it not? Yeah, it's he believes that Selden's loot is hidden in his old lodgings. The Selden file. How did you get a hold of that? Selden? The now sadly deceased Mr. Ross and the defendant, Mr. Natsume, have only one thing linking them. The fact that they had lodgings in the same room. Well, yes, we know this, certainly. A room that was formerly occupied by Selden. Until, that is, he was arrested by Scotland Yard for his involvement in multiple burglaries. Yeah, there's a lot more interactions between the witnesses in this than Professor Layton versus Ace Attorney. I think it's great. Like, the witnesses like have personal connections. I think that's awesome. I see. And it so happens that the convict Selden left behind one very substantial mystery when he died. The some 1,000 pounds worth of loot that he stole, which as yet remains to be found. Yes, of course. It's coming back to me now. It's written in his file here. 1,000 pounds lost en route to hell. That was how the papers summed it up. And it seems that one particular fellow inmate was with the convict in his final moments. It's not hard to imagine Selden entrusting that inmate with his most closely guarded secret, the location of the stolen loot, and perhaps a key to unlock whatever container the valuables were in. So we know Shamspeare's stealing gas. What other criminal activities might have landed him in the clink? Ah, you mean this key is... Mr. Shamspeare, was you, wasn't it? You were at the capital offender's side when he died, were you not? What are you talking about? This is a false charge, I tell you, a false charge. The name of the inmate who was with Selden at his death isn't noted in this file. But a simple telegram to the prison where he died would quickly tell us how false the charge really is. But even if it's true, why would the man be so intent on killing every subsequent occupant of the convict's lodgings? There's only one explanation for that, my lord. It was in that very room that Selden hid his loot. So, it all comes out. Yes, and having established that, all of Mr. Shamspeare's subsequent actions start to make perfect sense. When he was let out of prison following Selden's death, he made it immediately for Mr. Gardeb's lodgings in the hope of renting Selden's old room. However, the retired army man was unable to offer him the accommodation of his choice, because Selden's old room had already been let to somebody else, Mr. Duncan Ross. Which is why Mr. Shamspeare has subsequently devised his gas-based plot, gas, to kill the occupant of the room. And when he was successful, he presumably intended to inquire about switching into the newly vacant room. However, a certain jittery someone had beaten him to it. Mr. Soseki Natsume, the defendant of this case, no less. So you decided to use the ploy with the gas main, didn't you, Mr. Shamspeare? This time to out Mr. Natsume. All for one simple and avaricious reason. To get your hands on the 1,000 pounds of loot left by the dead convict. He's dead. For real this time. Okay, so it turns out my theory was wrong. He did not inhale gas. Looks like I'm gonna snuff it before they get to stretch me neck. Listen, I want you to have me loot. Anything to stop the coppers getting their mitts on it. It's hidden in the room where I was lodging when they got me. This is the key to get it. Take it. Always stay one step ahead, mate. See you in hell, I guess. Shamspeare. The last words of Selden. It's mine. What did he just say? It's mine. That loot is mine. Yeah, he's all crazy face. He got mind broke. Look at him. Mr. Shamspeare? It's all lies. I don't accept any of it. Why should I? After all, you don't have a shred of evidence. You can't prove I killed that fellow. Forsooth, I am the victim here, remember? Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? I feel like when you're acting like this, your case is pretty much in the gutter, man. Look at him. He's mind broke. If I don't admit to it, there's nothing you can do. You can't arrest me, for the time being anyway. Verily, you can't arrest the victim, can you? Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? I'm so close. I just need a few more hours. I swore to myself that I'd get my hands on it, and I can almost taste it now. Do you really think I'd just give up? There's no question in my mind now. The man is guilty through and through. But he seems so utterly intoxicated by the idea of that loot. I'm afraid however hard you press him, he'll never admit to what he's done, Mr. Naruhodo. There is a way. Pardon? There's one way I can finish him. Finish him? No. He's already committed the most heinous crimes to get his hands on that loot. Which means all we need to do is find it first. A fine plan. Were not for the fact that the police thoroughly searched the room following the death of Mr. Ross. If it's there at all, it must be very well hidden indeed. Without conclusive evidence, I certainly cannot rule. If only there was some way we could find the convict's loot quickly. This is the final piece in this complex puzzle. But I think we might have it in our possession already. Or rather, I think we may well have something that can help us find where the loot is hidden. My lord. Yes, counsel. I want to know where this is going. What do we have? I almost don't know. The defense would like to make a proposal about how to find the late convict's loot. I believe we are already in possession of something that could give us a clue as to its whereabouts. Look at him! It's our last chance, so it has to be worth a gamble. Besides, we've used the same technique once already, and it definitely paid off then. What did we do? What is he talking about? Oh no, I'm not ahead of Ryunosuke for once. Very well then, counsel. Let the court hear your idea. What do you propose we can use in order to locate the hiding place of the deceased convict's hole? Oh, geez. Okay. Wait a minute. It's a key. Is it the key to the gas meter? In Soseki's room. It is something we've used once before. What else could the key be for? There would be nothing in the room that's locked, right? Hang on, I'm gonna save just in case. Is it the gas meter? It's gotta be the gas meter, I think. I don't know what else it could be. Okay.
Take that!
This is my proposal, my lord. Good gracious, we can use that, can we?
Objection!
Oh, no, that's not it. Darn. I have another idea. Stop wasting the court's time. Darn. Okay, hang on. I'm allowed. I'm allowed to save scum sometimes. It never happened. That one was made up by a writer. Well, what could it be? Oh, the handprints, of course. Sholmes' handprints, skin prints. If I'm not mistaken, Those are Mr. Shamspeare's handprints on the wall of his lodgings. Yeah, we can find out where Selden was touching the most and find the spot. That's right, my lord. Exposed as a result of the defense's independent investigation of the scene. I bet it's still the gas meter, though. What else would that key be for? Based on a wonderful new discovery in the field of forensic science by the great detective, Mr. Sholmes. A great detective? Is that some kind of joke? Do you really think I'm going to be daunted by a man with such a ridiculous title? I should think the great bard ought to recognize such a title when he hears one, Mr. Shamspeare. Oh, hi. I thought it was Shamspeare saying that, but it's Sholmes. I've broken into the courtroom. I'm running onto the field like a crazed football fan. Ha! Perhaps we should compete for the honor of most ridiculous title. Ah, 'tis Herlock Sholmes himself. What are you doing here, great detective? Your usual haunts are the filthy back streets of the capital, are they not? Ah, Mr. Reaper, it's been too long. And I see your complexion has worsened since we last met. Mr. Sholmes! He does know Lord Van Zieks, then. Well enough to say something like that, in any case. I want to know what the nature of their relationship is. Mr. Sholmes, though you may be heralded as a great detective by the population at large, it does not give you the right to come and go in my courtroom as you see fit. If I may, my lord, Mr. Sholmes' newly developed scientific method has helped us to uncover vital clues in this case already. Clues, you say? I call them skin prints, my lord. My method identifies every location touched by an individual under scrutiny. It's the method by which we were able to ascertain this gentleman's gas pipe activities. Ah! You need only a small sample of something the individual has previously touched to make an indicator solution. In your case, sir, I used the teacup you had been holding. Elementary! So now, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, yes? What am I to use as a sample to make the indicator solution this time? Thank you for offering to help, Mr. Sholmes. When the convict was arrested, he was living in what is now Soseki-san's room. We need a sample to help locate Selden's loot that's hidden in his old room. What form will the sample take? I'm going to present Miss Green because she has the key. We will need something of Selden's in order to create the indicator solution to find his loot. And something the convict owned happens to be in the possession of somebody listed in the court record. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, your powers of reasoning appear to be on the up. So, which particular person do you have in mind? From whom can we obtain a possession of the late convict Selden to create the indicator solution? Or...
Take that!
That one's easy. That's an easy question. That's like a victory lap question. Miss Green. Me? What do you want with me? The key around your neck, if you please. Sorry? That key belonged to Selden. There will be remnants of secretions from the man's skin on its surface that we can use. Very true. That is the sample we need. Using it, we can create the indicator solution required for Mr. Sholmes' skin print seeker. And find out exactly what Selden had touched in the room that he used to rent. Ah! Mr. Shamspeare, as one great to another, I assure you. The late convict's hole is hidden somewhere in his former lodgings. I shall uncover it in no more than 30 minutes. Ah! So, Mr. Shamspeare, the truth is well within our grasp now, and as such, you will never get your hands on Selden's stolen wealth. Oh, but Miss Green is suddenly very calm. In that case, I'll gladly let Mr. Sholmes have this key. That's right, because her revenge will be complete then. No, give the key to me. The detective shan't have it. It's over, Mr. Shamspeare. No. You're out of options now. There's only one thing left for you to do. Admit your guilt. Whoa. Oh, shameful spear. Despair. It's like he's being shot. by thy name. That was a really elaborate animation. These breakdown animations get more elaborate every time. It's great. I was kind of hoping he was wearing a wig. I never intended to kill the man. I just wanted to drive him out of the room, that's all. I mean, even after you accidentally killed the guy, you kept doing the same thing to Soseki, so I really don't even believe that. So you'd have time to find out the convict's haul of stolen goods? Yet after you'd killed the young man, you still didn't move into the room. I asked the landlord, of course. I pleaded with him, but he refused. Why? I was 3 months behind with the rent, for one thing. Mr. Garadib really has had a lot to put up with. I don't know, I don't feel... He's a landlord, whatever, who cares? Who cares about his feelings? He doesn't have any, he's not human. And he had the gas repair work done immediately afterwards, putting the room out of action for a while. And then this Japanese man swooped in at just the right moment to sign the new lease. Poor Mr. Natsume. What unfortunate timing. Then, 5 days ago, after the incident on Briar Road when the Japanese fellow got himself arrested, I thought I'd finally have my chance, but it wasn't to be. No, the scene was sealed off and guarded by the police night and day. And, if I remember rightly, Mr. Sholmes spent the whole day in there reading books. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. I couldn't even enter the room, let alone search for the loot. Which is why, on the day Mr. Natsume was acquitted and returned to his room, you once again tried your trick of blowing into the air gas pipe that feeds the stove in his room. Unbeknownst to you, however, that action would lead you into a deadly trap. William Shamspeare. How does it go? To be or not to be? That is the question. From Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. Well, let me tell you, in your case, it's not to be. That is the answer. You deserve to die for what you've done. Owned. The defeat is final. At first, I really did think it was just a terrible accident. I'll never forget our conversation the night before Duncan died. The gas supply in my new lodgings are a complete disaster, you know, Olive. The gas supply? Yes, the stove always seems to go out in the middle of the night for some reason. That's no joke. They say it's the convict's curse. Oh, Duncan, please, don't stay there. I don't care how cheap it is. All right, then, if it's that important to you, I'll start looking for a new place. That's exactly it, Link.4. That's the lesson of this case. Do not trust the theater kid. There are spare rooms at my house. Why don't you leave that horrible room tonight? No, I'd better not. We said we'd wait until we graduated before we told our parents, remember? Well, that was the last time we ever spoke. That very night, he fell victim to the gas. That's depressing. If only I'd known it was going to happen, I'd have insisted he left that horrible room that instant. But instead, all I've been left with is bitter regret. I stopped going to school, but something kept drawing me back to the house on Briar Road. I saw a stooped Eastern-looking man with a moustache coming out of the house one day when I was there. He walked up the road to Grubb's Grubbery for some food, so I followed him and sat myself down next to him. He had some watery-looking soup and started to pick a quarrel with the publican. That place is cursed, I tell you, cursed. The ghost of the convict who used to live there is trying to suffocate me. I wake up in the middle of the night for freezing to death because the stove has gone out. The room is full of gas, and I can hardly breathe. But the pipes have been checked. No problem there. It's like I'm the problem. That's what they're thinking. But how could that be? Duncan was gone, and now this man had almost suffered the same fate. Could it really be a curse? Then I remembered a rumor I'd heard about how the gas companies go around investigating the gas installations. A rumor? Ah, you mean... Yes, everybody's heard the stories, it seems, about how they go around checking the pipes. How anything connected to the gas can be extinguished by blowing air into the pipework. That's when it started. A little flicker of doubt in the back of my mind that just wouldn't go away. Was it really an accident, though? Once I'd had the idea, it wouldn't leave me alone. It plagued me day and night. So I bought this at one of the black markets in the East End. Black market? I'd never been. I'd just heard people talk about them. And you really can buy anything you can think of there. In some ways, being able to get my hands on this so easily made me even more determined. I had to find out one way or another. Was Duncan's death an accident, or was it murder? And your chosen method for establishing the truth was simple, but highly effective. Yeah, so you didn't even know for sure if Shamspear was doing it. Did she, like, literally sneak in and test people's rooms one by one, put poison on the pipes until someone was poisoned? And that's how she knew? That's actually kind of fucked up. Smear poison on the gas pipe you suspected the man of tampering with, and wait. If Mr. Shamspear was innocent, nothing would come of what you'd done. But if he was guilty, he would pay for his crimes dearly. That's pretty smart, actually. I kind of respect the power move of that. I found out the name of the man I suspected, William Shamspear. Then I wrote him this little note. Right, okay, yeah, that makes sense. She wouldn't have to try every lodgers, because there's only Shamspear and the other, you know, the now unoccupied room that was by Duncan, and Garadeb. So Shamspear was really the only suspect besides Garadeb. And he's the more immediate one because he lives so close. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Right. And of course, Shamspear knew he killed Duncan Ross, so he'd be immediately suspicious of this letter. He would be worried somebody knew. If he'd done it, I knew that would worry him enough, so he'd be sure to go. So I waited to see if it worked. And of course, Mr. Shamspear followed the instructions to the letter. I worked out where the gas pipe was straight away, so I smeared a good amount of the poison I'd bought all around the mouth of the pipe. All the time praying that the devil's work wouldn't be done, and that it was all just some wild fantasy. Actually, no. All the time praying that the devil's work would be done, and that the culprit would get his just deserts. Alright, well, that's that. I mean, Shamspear's definitely getting the axe, too. That guy killed a guy, and attempted to kill another guy. That's actually way worse than what Green did. Like, Green didn't even succeed in killing him. She probably gets a much lighter sentence than Shamspear will. 3 days ago, when you were first stood in the dock before me, this whole affair seemed relatively straightforward. Yes, my lord. I certainly never imagined the depths of depravity that we should subsequently find lurking behind the scenes. It has been a long road, my Nipponese friend. Oh, yes. And on one I certainly didn't envisage walking with you. Classic lawyer prosecutor homoeroticism. Nevertheless, together we have reached the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. Miss Green. Yes, my lord. You will henceforth be stripped of your freedom as punishment for the attempted murder of Mr. William Shamspeare. Yes, I know. And you, Mr. Shamspeare, you will be tried for the murder of the Mr. Duncan Ross in cold blood, and the subsequent attempted murder of Mr. Soseki Natsume here present. Wow, this one turned out way differently than I expected. We have two culprits technically. It's kind of really interesting. A lot of the cases in these two games have been really like structurally different than cases in Ace Attorney have been in the past, and it's a really nice shakeup. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Yesterday at the hospital, when you and your friends stopped me from ending your life by drinking what was left in the poison bottle? I wasn't myself. I can't even really remember what was going through my mind. To be or not to be, I suppose. That's a question that's so hard to answer, it seems. Well, personally, I'm glad of you being here, Miss Green. Oh! And I'd like to believe that it's a blessing Mr. Shamspeare didn't die when he ingested the poison. Oh yeah, it's... what she did is still super illegal, of course. I think it was somewhat justified. I think you should kill people who hurt you, in general, but just don't get caught. For your sake, at the very least. If I were her, I just wouldn't have been caught. Because of you, I chose life, not death. And now you've made the truth come out at last. Really, I can't thank you enough. See, even though she's technically a culprit, she doesn't get like a crazy breakdown sequence. She actually gets like a really nice moment. Oh, Miss Green. Mr. Soseki Natsume. Yes, my lord. The court declares you are exonerated from all blame in this matter. Accordingly, I would call upon the ladies and gentlemen of the jury to present a verdict of not guilty. We are in full agreement, my lord. In that case, I hereby declare the defendant... Oh, they don't even do the thing where they... slam the button. It's just like so obvious because both people admitted to what they did by now. Not guilty. Huzzah. We've done it. That seems like a fire hazard, but go off. Court is adjourned. Well, that's that. That was a really cool case. It went in so many unexpected directions. I loved it. 23rd of February, 3:24 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Oh, he's gonna cry. Oh, yes, at last. Divine justice duly done. Divine justice? My dear fellow, if there were any divine justice in this world, you would have shaved that mustache. No, this has nothing to do with my mustache. Some say that a luxuriant mustache is a sign of physical prowess, Mr. Sholmes. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Once again, you've saved me from doom. I'm very happy to have been able to help, Mr. Natsume. Congratulations on your acquittal. You're second in almost as many days. I was first acquainted with and gained affection for English literature whilst in our great homeland empire. And then, by a twist of fate, I was brought to the land that bore the fruit of that literature. Only the city of bricks and mortar became my prison. Try as I might, I never found my feet here. In the end, I confined myself to my room and lived through friendly old books. You've had such a difficult time, haven't you? But a week ago now, I dragged you out of that dark and dingy room of yours, did I not? You did, and I've seen more of life in this week than all my years to date. And as for the first time, I feel I've begun to see the true face of the English that's so far been hiding from me behind the wall of fog. My dear fellow, there's nothing special about the true face of the English, as you put it. Wheresoever one goes in the world, humans are human. There are few genuine differences. Sholmes says, don't be racist. Yes, I think you're right. I finally started to see that, and I've come to understand something. I've worked out why I was attracted to English literature in the first place. It made me see that whatever our nationality, we all humans have the same hopes and fears. We're all just doing our best to live. So true, Opie. Well said. I've come to feel the same way. I've made a decision, too. I'm going to cut short my study tour here and return to Japan. What? Just when we become friends over here in England? What a terrible shame. Oh, I know, that does tug at my heartstrings, it really does. But I've decided I'd like to take everything I've learned here in Britain and write something of my own. A novel of sorts, I suppose. Oh my, so you'll be creating your own literature, Mr. Natsume? How wonderful. Yeah, he's going to go write I Am a Cat, I think. Oh, well, no, I mean, I wouldn't presume to call it literature. Why not? Well, that is precisely the definition, Mr. Mustache. Yeah, don't be so hard on yourself. We don't take self-deprecation here, only self-aggrandizement. I suppose you're right, yes, it will in a way be literature. But as of now, all I know is that I'd like to try my hand at writing. I have no delusions of grandeur. I, for one, would love to read your work. Well, all things considered, it may be for the best. After all, you have once again emerged victorious from a battle with the Reaper. Ah, that's very true. And there is no salvation for a person in the dock when the Reaper is the prosecutor. The desire to return post-haste to the perceived safety of your homeland is one I quite understand. My goodness, yes. Faced with such a terrifying prospect. Nobody would consider that cowardly, I'm quite sure. But that's not why I'm leaving. I mean it. Objection. Oh, he shouted objection. Objection! And that was the case that we found ourselves embroiled in 6 months ago now. Soseki... Oh, wait, I'm pretty sure this is... I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's Ryunosuke. Soseki-san did indeed return to Japan, and had submitted a report about both cases to the government. It was on reading that report that Professor Mikotoba was prompted to visit the scholar. And barely any time later, Susato-san was given the news that she must return to Japan as well. On the back of a telegram stating falsely that her father had fallen gravely ill. Yeah, that was the mystery that started all this, wasn't it? The only possible explanation that comes to mind is what happened after the trial on the following day. The day that we uncovered the loot hidden by the now deceased convict in his former lodgings. Mysterious. What have we here on the 24th of February at 10:13 a.m. in Mr. Natsume's room? Oh, well done, Mr. Sholmes. How simply marvelous of you to uncover the secret hiding place in just one day. Wasn't it supposed to take 30 minutes? As I believe I told you, my dear fellows, skin prints are extremely useful in such situations. Yeah, he basically invented like an early, what's it called, UV? Blacklight? Wouldn't you agree, Gregson? Chomp, 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 chomp. Gregsy's been happily munching an agreement this whole time, you know, Hurley. Happily? I think perhaps humorlessly might be closer to the truth. So, it transpires the man fashioned a hiding place in the ceiling. And what's in it? What exactly is the loot? Let us look then, if you're ready. Let's examine the late burglar's haul. What have we here? What is that? Oh. It looks like a dog collar with blood on it. It looks to be some sort of neckband or collar. A collar? It's huge, though. And look at all the gemstones set in it. I can see why it was claimed to be worth 1,000 pounds. Perhaps I could have it as a belt. Oh, have you noticed the inside there? There are some dark stains. Yeah, it's blood. Super obviously blood. God, I wonder, in a Sholmes story, what could a dog collar with the letter B be? I just don't know. I just don't know any famous stories about dogs and the letter B. Nothing comes to mind. You don't think they could be blood, do you? I mean, there's quite a lot of it. On second thoughts, perhaps I won't have it as a belt. Then of course, there's this emblem here. A large letter B and a small crown. Yeah, I guess we'll never know. We'll never know what this letter B stands for. What does it signify, do you think? Oh, I hadn't noticed that. The first game mentioned it even. You're right, Kaskin, where it's like, that's the story her dad wrote with Sholmes that we're not allowed to talk about. Sholmes didn't want to publish for some reason. I wonder why. I wonder what word was it that started with B? I feel as though I've seen that emblem somewhere before, you know. Where could it have been? That's enough of that, I think. What? What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes? All the color is drained from his face. Well, Inspector, I believe you ought to be taking this, oughtn't you? Could be valuable evidence, after all. It must be kept safely under lock and key. Yes. Yeah, Gregson definitely knows, too. Get your grubby hands off that, you lot, and hand it over, now! Yeah, he knows, too, for sure. He's super in on it. I'd never seen a collar that large before, and all those jewels certainly look to be extremely valuable. But that's not what stood out the most to me, at least, not once I noticed it. Those dark marks on the inside of the collar, those stains, could they really have been blood? Ooh, it's a mystery. Well, that was a funny case, wasn't it? But it's all buttoned up now. And you look very pleased, Iris. I am, because I was starting to wonder what I could use as the basis of this month's story in the magazine. But this case will be perfect. It's been so fascinating. You're talking about the latest installment of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, I presume. The mystery of the knife in the mist, and the mustached man in the convict's curse, perhaps. I could make it a two-part story. Oh, I can't wait. I'm sure this will have no bearing on any future cases, for sure. A word, if you please, Iris. Yes, what is it, Hurley? I'm sorry, but you can't write about this case. It's out of the question. What? Why not? It's a great case. Then I shall have to insist that you limit yourself to the first of your two titles. The second must never be written. Is that clear? He's very... Wow, that is suddenly very serious. Yes. Mysterious.
And so it was that the second of Seki-san's cases became buried in obscurity. Now, looking back, I feel I understand. I can see why Mr. Sholmes forbade Iris from publishing the story.
Don't talk to me
It
from
would
the
take a little
future,
longer
Ryunosuke.
before I saw the link between everything that had happened and would happen. For it wasn't until 2 months after the arrival of Susato-san's letter that events began to unfurl again. With an incident that took place at the very heart of the eagerly awaited Great Exhibition of London.
Oh, we finally get to that. Exciting. Even the last game was setting this up. Ooh, I'm so excited. I need more. This game is so good. These games are so good. The end. The end of that case. Oof, exciting. Oh, I'm so excited for more next week. Because this Saturday, we will be continuing, I'm sorry. Umineko, When They Cry. More mysteries abound, just a different kind. We'll see what's going on Saturday, and it'll be a lot of fun. I was having a lot of fun with Umineko, so I'm excited to see what happens next. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm having a ton of fun with this game, and I can't wait for more. I'll see you on Saturday, though, for Umineko. Good night!